delivers. And that's it on the ground to second. Throw to first in time, and the ball game is over.
Fourth down and 6. Olbridge gotta have it. Shotgun formation. Nugent, a lot of time. Rolls out. He's running out of space. Will roll the other way. They look. Corner of the end zone. Touchdown!
Rowan heading for the touchpad with the lead. And the props will take the men's 400-yard freestyle relay.
Andrews will be in shotgun. He takes the snap, makes the handoff. He'll throw it down the left sideline. He's got a wide open receiver. He's got the touchdown.
Motion man is Simmons. Trotman throwing towards Simmons down the field, and he makes the catch in traffic for a Bearcats touchdown.
Back to pass, middle of the field. The catch is made by Britt. She's off to the races at the 40, the 30, the 20, the 10. Britt is in for the score.
Back on in, here's Yoxon. Yoxon to the backhand, trying to go to the front, makes the move and shot, and he scores!
And Gracie comes set and delivers. And that's it on the ground to second. Throw to first in time, and the ball game is over. South Shore survives a late scare, and they are the 2024 New York State Little League Baseball champions.
Live from the Warananko Sports Complex in Roselle, New Jersey, PDF Sports Network is proud to welcome you into coverage of the American Arena League 2's 2025 postseason playoffs. Tonight, it's the Eastern Division semifinal matchup as the top-seeded Jersey Bearcats take on the number 4 seed Maryland War Eagles. Good evening, everyone. My name is David Pizzuto alongside my broadcast partner, Joe Foreman. We are about 10 to 15 minutes away from kickoff here at Warananko, and so we welcome you to the Brownstone Grill in Metuchen pregame show as we break down what will be the third meeting of the season between these two Eastern Division rivals. And Joe, I guess we could start right there. The Bearcats went 7-1 during the regular season and locked up the number 1 seed a few weeks ago. But the one team that gave them a blemish is the same team they welcome to New Jersey tonight. It should make for a very intriguing intro to the AAL2 playoffs.
Certainly plenty of intrigue surrounding this matchup to open the AAL2 postseason, and you mentioned the big reason why. The Bearcats come in with just one loss this season, and that loss came against this Maryland War Eagles team on the road, 25-20. However, it was a decisive win for Jersey at home all the way back in Week 3, 40-14. In that game, a dominant first half for the Bearcats gave them all the cushion they needed to come away with the win. But the War Eagles showed that they were beginning to figure things out late in that game. That ultimately carried over into the Week 6 matchup, which Maryland won at home. You have to think that having a full complement of players in that home game was a factor, as it's often difficult to travel your full roster up the East Coast. But with a spot in the divisional championship game on the line tonight, you know that they have all hands on deck this evening. As for the Bearcats, this is their first time seeing this War Eagles team since the Week 6 loss, and you can be sure they are looking to make a statement on their home turf tonight.
Absolutely, and we will continue to break down these two teams. But first, Joe, let's talk a little bit about these playoffs. Only the Eastern Division is in action tonight. This game intros the AAL2 playoffs. Tomorrow, the other Eastern Division semifinal takes place. It's a rare instance where every team in the league makes the playoffs, and perhaps deservedly so, as we've seen competitive games up and down the league all year. Let's take a look at the playoff structure on your screen. And what do you think of this 4 games in 6 weeks setup, Joe?
Joe. I think that first and foremost, anything can happen, and you don't want to miss a snap, especially in the East Division. The Bearcats were the best team in the division this season by 2 games, but all season long, they were pushed to the limit by their divisional rivals. We already mentioned the win over Jersey for the War Eagles, but the Roughnecks were also seconds away from knocking off the Bearcats here at Waranenko earlier this season. Finally, a shorthanded Stampede squad gave Jersey some trouble 2 weeks ago in the Bearcats season finale. As for 4 games being played in 6 weeks, I think that the extended format is a true test of consistency. Not only do you need to be the better team against 2 familiar teams from your own division in the East, but you also have to face a couple of teams that you may not have seen before. I don't believe that we've ever covered a 4-game road to winning a championship in our 3 years of broadcasting here on PDF, but in a year filled with many firsts for us, covering at least 3 and maybe even 4 games during the AAL2 postseason is among the highlights for me.
Absolutely. Certainly every game is one to circle on the calendar and take in. Should be a great second season in the AAL2. Joe, let's take a closer look at this matchup. Despite the loss the Bearcats suffered on the road against this War Eagles team, they've been perfect otherwise. 7-0 against their other division rivals and 2 games against the North Division. It hasn't always been clean or polished, but the Bearcats' tagline this season has been, quote, find a way, and that's largely what they've done this season. Despite some injuries and a few setbacks here and there, this team finds a way to win games, and you think they're the favorite in these playoffs to come out and win their second title in 3 years.
No doubt that this Jersey team has to be the favorite to come out of the East Division and at the forefront of the championship discussion overall. But that doesn't mean that there aren't issues for this team to address entering the playoffs. We've seen plenty of sloppy games here at Waranenko this year. But as you said, Dave, this team has been able to find a way in all but 1 game. That being said, the Bearcats absolutely need to clean up the penalties that have set them back many times this season. They also need to finish as strong as we've seen them start this year. In the 3 regular season games that I've covered, they played a much stronger first half than second half in all of them. Then, in the 1 game I missed against the Roughnecks, you had the call for one of the most overall sloppy arena football games that we've covered here on PDF. You said it, the road has been pretty at times, but this Jersey team has plenty of talent to overcome their mistakes, and if they clean them up, you have to feel great about your odds of winning a second championship in 3 years.
Absolutely, Joe. And looking on the other side, let's face it, the Maryland War Eagles record isn't impressive at 3-5, but after a 1-4 start, they have won 2 out of their last 3, including that high water mark against the Bearcats in the second half of the season. Their last 2 losses, you can see them on your screen, a 1-point loss to the Stampede and a 1-point loss to the Roughnecks. This team was realistically just a hair away from potentially being the number 2 seed in this division. And the War Eagles know that if they play their brand of football, not only can they be competitive in this game, Joe, they fully intend to shock the crowd here and beat the Bearcats for the second time this season.
A War Eagles victory tonight would absolutely stun this crowd assembled here in Roselle tonight. But I think anybody who has been following the league closely this season knows just how dangerous this Maryland team is entering the playoffs. Of course, they have their signature win against the Bearcats, but they proved during the final 2 weeks of the regular season that the victory over Jersey was no fluke. I always say that you want to enter the playoffs playing your best football, and I think Maryland has spent the season moving steadily in the right direction. A 2-1 finish to the season and a rematch against the team that you beat last time you faced them has to give you a lot of confidence entering the game tonight.
Great insight, Joe, and certainly great storylines to follow. With that, the stage has been set, and what we will do on the Brownstone pregame show is step aside, take a break, hear from our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll go on the field and hear from the Bearcats themselves and their expectations for tonight. The Brownstone pregame continues right here on your home for the AAL2 and the Jersey Bearcats. It's the PDF Sports Network.
Burgers are better at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
My weekend starts with the Brownstone burger, topped with cheddar, barbecue sauce, and a fried egg.
Give me the Hawaiian burger. I love the Canadian bacon and sweet pineapple.
How do you like your salads? Shrimp, chicken, beef?
Stop in and see why families are eating good at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
Jersey Bearcats football is brought to you by Pino's Bakery. Located at 1027 Chestnut Street in Roselle, Pino's is your prime stop for specialty cakes, pastries, and deli delights. Always fresh and made to order, our family-owned shop prides itself on bringing our kitchen into your homes and your heart. Pino's is where family, tradition, and goodness are a daily thing. Visit us at 1027 Chestnut Street in Roselle or online at pinosbakery.net. Thank you to our friends at Pino's Bakery.
This fall, NSC Apparel has you covered. We have top quality uniforms with unlimited customization and great pricing. The Supersonic uniform has pro-level fabrics and embroidery, and the Sonic Speed uniform lends itself perfectly for full-body designs. We also offer fan jerseys for the perfect fundraiser. Let us make you the best-dressed team on the field this fall. NSC Apparel, official uniform provider of the Bearcats and the AAL2.
Today's game is presented by Total Performance Bodywork with Dave Riemann. Dave is a body worker, licensed massage therapist, and strength and movement coach. He's combined his wide variety of expertise into a system that he calls Total Performance Bodywork. Trusted by professional athletes and bodybuilders, Dave has been helping people to recover from new and old injuries, improve their breathing efficiency, athletic performance, mobility, flexibility, and their overall strength. Visit Total Performance Bodywork at totalperformancebodywork.com or contact Dave by calling 610-570-7480 or email daveriemann@rcn.com.
Refined, restorative, results-driven. At CMX iMed Bar, we blend medicine, aesthetics, and wellness into one luxury experience, led by Dr. Angela Roque. Located in the heart of Pier Village, Long Branch. Visit cmximedbar.com or text 9089-232-694 to look better, feel better, live elevated.
And welcome back to the Brownstone Grill pregame show. Joe Foreman here in the broadcast booth alongside David Pizzuto, who is down on field level to chat with some players and coaches. Dave is downstairs with Mateo Rodriguez. Dave, take it away.
All right, Joe, here with the star quarterback, Mateo, getting ready for the playoffs. Tell me a little bit about this week of preparation for the second season.
Definitely this week, we really want to come out fire like we did in the beginning of the season. After we lost our first one, it took a little bit of our motivation away, but we had decided to add some tools and everything, add some guys to make us really competitors going into the playoffs.
Now, as far as the game that was played in Maryland, they gave you your first loss. What were some of the things that they did well that posed a problem for you guys?
Simple, straight. They just came out and just punched us in the mouth. They just came to play, and we really weren't heading for our game plan, doing our game plan and everything. It's lack of focus and lack of communication. So they were just a better team that time.
So I know you guys have probably been thinking about that loss ever since they gave it to you. Tell me a little bit about the vibes in the locker room to get to play them again here in the playoffs.
We really didn't think about the loss. We know what we can do. So we know we messed up, and we know, like I said, lack of communication. We know we were hurting ourselves, but we know we play Bearcats football. We expect to win.
All right, Mateo, good luck tonight. You got it. All right, Joe, we'll send it back up to you upstairs.
All right, thank you, Dave, and thank you, Mateo. We shift our attention now from the offensive side of the ball to the defensive side of the ball as Dave is joined down on the field by Bearcats newcomer, Darren Hungerford.
All right, Joe, I'm here with one of the newest Jersey Bearcats. Darren Hungerford joins the team. Darren, how's this? You wear the red jersey, you're in a playoff game. How's that feel?
Definitely. It's been great to be around the guys. Practice on Tuesday, we were moving around. Everybody's very welcome in the whole organization. I'm just grateful to be here, thankful to be here, and just trying to bring any value I can today, help us win this game and move on in the playoffs.
All right, absolutely. That was the question I was going to ask you. On a short, stay with the Bearcats so far, what are some of the things you have to kind of get under wraps to get you ready for game time here tonight?
Just knowing, these guys have done a good job to put themselves in this position. Just me matching the energy that they've already established, coming in, just working hard, keeping my head down, learning the playbook, and then from here on out, just bringing the mentality, the physicality, the leadership that, will help us carry us over the top this week.
And Darren, a lot of people thought the Bearcats were primed to win another championship this year, at least on paper. So being the favorites in a playoff like this, how does the team need to react and how does it need to play tonight?
Being in this position a few times has kind of helped me, adapt. And I've been trying to tell just bring that knowledge of when you have the target on your back, you can't wait to match the energy. You have to bring the energy. So from this point on, everybody, we're the top dog. Everybody's coming for us. So from the drop of the football to the last snap of the football, it's just mentality and physicality the whole way through.
All right, Darren, it's a pleasure meeting you. Good luck tonight.
Pleasure meeting you. I appreciate you guys.
You got it. Newest Bearcat, Darren Hungerford. Joe, we'll throw it back up to you upstairs.
I appreciate you guys.
All right, thank you, Dave, and thank you, Darren. But we're not done yet with our Brownstone pregame show. As always, we wrap up our series of interviews with Bearcats head coach A.J. Roquet. That will take place on the other side of the national anthem. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, and then we'll hear from Coach Roquet. All right, just moments away from kickoff. We'll throw it down to Dave with Coach Roquet.
All right, Joe, here with head coach A.J. Roquet. A.J., second season starts today. What have you told the troops during the bye week to prepare for this one?
Let's try to go 1-0 each week, right? That's been the motto from the get. So, yeah, it's playoffs, but, nothing changes for us. Our goal doesn't change.
It's almost fate that you play in the first round, the only team that beat you during the regular season. Is that something that this team kind of wanted, to get back at Maryland and face them here?
Yeah, we definitely wanted a chance to get back to them. I mean, even better that it's at home, right? So, now we get to say hello again, and that's all we were looking for at some point in this season.
And obviously, if you win, you stay at home throughout the playoffs. That's the virtue of the number one seed. What does this building do for you guys that energizes you? And you went undefeated this year as well here.
Just being at home, right? You get to play at home, and you get your family to come out, and it's just the whole being at home vibe. You don't want to travel in the playoffs. You want to play at home.
All right, so AJ, without giving away the X's and O's, what's the game plan to beating a team like this?
Just playing physical and having high energy from the time we come out this tunnel to the time that reads 0.
All right, AJ, good luck tonight.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Joe, we'll throw it back up to you.
You plan to do chicken, then do chicken like a champ at Wing It On in Linden. Voted #1 medium wing sauce at the National Buffalo Wing Festival. Wing It On is family owned and operated in Linden, New Jersey, and we have an excellent array of your favorite wings and chicken done to perfection. We have the true flavor of champions at Wing It On. Stop in or order now at wingiton.com or call our store at 908-486-0910.
Refined, restorative, results-driven. At CMX iMed Bar, we blend medicine, aesthetics, and wellness into one luxury experience, led by Dr. Angela Roque. Located in the heart of Pier Village, Long Branch. Visit cmximedbar.com or text 9089-232-694 to look better, feel better, live elevated.
Welcome back here to Warananko Sports Complex. We are just moments away from kickoff between the Maryland War Eagles, the number 4 seed in the East, a record of 3-5 against the Jersey Bearcats, top seeds, and a record of 7-1. The one loss, however, at the hands of this Maryland War Eagles team. Joe talked about it with AJ, talked about it with the players as well. This home field is special to the Bearcats. They're undefeated here. What goes well for them here in this building? What are their keys to winning tonight?
Well, I think first and foremost, if you're the Bearcats, something that has hamstrung you in games all season long, they need to clean up the penalties and make sure that they force the opposition to earn every yard. Going back to their first meeting with the War Eagles, they had that game well in hand at halftime, a 3-score lead. However, a second-half pass interference call in the end zone set up a scoring drive that all of a sudden made it a game again. And that was really key for the War Eagles to stay in that game. Had they not scored on that drive, it completely changes the complexion of the game. On the other side of the ball, the Bearcats definitely need to capitalize in the red zone, make sure that when they get down there, they convert. And defensively, an area that I'm looking for them to really step up in this game is containing the quarterback. Hunter Gruden did a lot of good work with his legs when these two teams met last time here at Waranenko.
Yeah, I remember in that game, Joe, the War Eagles got away from their run game a little bit, and in the second half, it was Gruden who was really the catalyst, got them back in it. If you're Maryland, your high water mark was that win, Joe, and the most amount of points that they've scored this season in a game was in that 25-20 win. What do they have to do to get on the register often in this one and win this one?
Well, first and foremost, they need to put pressure on the Bearcats quarterbacks tonight. Going back to the meeting here that we covered at Waranenko, they forced the Jersey signal callers to throw into plenty of tight windows. You force that consistently for 4 quarters, you're going to generate turnovers, you're going to get stops. On the offensive side of the ball, they have to protect their quarterback and avoid negative plays. Their first negative plays in the second half of their meeting against the Bearcats here at Waranenko came back to back to back. The result, a safety. And that effectively ended that game with about 6 minutes to go.
All right, the Bearcats, as they often do, will get the ball first if they win the toss. And it'll be Ryan DeCamp who gets us started for the War Eagles. Will send it down. Kyle Ward is back deep along with a hot shot, number 14, Mel Reed. Remember that touchdown, Joe, that he had at the end of the Outlaws game? Reed made about 4 guys miss and scored on the last play of the game. So he gets the start on specials and is opposite Kyle Ward.
Well, I know Coach K really liked what he did in his Bearcats debut last week. He thought that perhaps they might try and keep the kickoffs away from him. We'll see if he gets a chance here. If you're the War Eagles, you can't afford to see the Bearcats score on special teams to get things started. And we have seen teams keep the ball away from one another, especially here at Waranenko with the low-hanging roof.
There's a reason why they want the ball first. It's because they want to score early and put the pressure and step on the necks of their opponents. See if it plays into what they want to do. That one does hit the upper netting, and it'll be a dead ball right where it hit. So the Bearcats are probably going to start outside their own 20-yard line here, and that's just as good as a good kickoff return.
It certainly is, and I always say it. The sweet spot here at Waranenko for throwing down the field between the 10 and the 20. You don't want to be backed up in your own end zone, and you don't want to be far out across midfield. This is the perfect position for a team like the Bearcats that loves to air the ball out to take that shot downfield that we know they love early in the game.
And it'll be spotted exactly at the 20-yard line, and it will be Mateo Rodriguez as we expected. Joe, the Bearcats did use a 1-2 punch at quarterback with Chris Crisculo as well, but towards the latter half of the season, they've really devoted a lot of the quarterbacking duties to Mateo Rodriguez.
Did a lot of great things both with his arm and with his legs, so you can keep an eye on that throughout the night.
And Rodriguez will work with Nas Adams to his left. Adams was not dressed for the last game against the Outlaws. And there will be 2 in motion. And looks like the Bearcats might have got ahead early. Either that or it might have been an illegal defense, Joe. We'll see what the call here, but the game starts with a yellow flag.
It looks like this one's going to go against the War Eagles, and with the uniforms they're wearing tonight, I almost said the Miners did. Very reminiscent of the Wheeling team in blue and yellow last year, but they are going to move the Bearcats up 5 yards here.
Yeah, and I believe that was an illegal defense, Joe. You're not allowed to have somebody creep up to the line of scrimmage. You have to be set before you can come up. And so it'll be a 1st and 5 instead of a 1st and 10. Same formation for the Bearcats. Only Stewart at wide receiver is on the line. The others are in motion. The give is underneath to Adams. Adams at first had a tough time kind of corralling that into his midsection. We do have another flag down, and Adams went nowhere, in fact, lost a yard.
And for a moment, I thought he lost the football, the way that he may have bobbled it and then looked down toward the turf. For an instant there, I thought he had lost it. We're going to get another look here on replay, and I think it did come loose just a bit.
Yeah, and it's going to be against the War Eagles again, Joe, and I didn't get the official call on it, but that's going to be good enough for a first down. So 2 by penalty and a quick first down for the Bearcats.
Well, you certainly can't afford to give away yardage if you're the Maryland defense. Not a great start for them, but this could force the Bearcats to put the ball on the ground a bit more. We know they can run it,
right,
but so often they love to air it out early in the game.
They sure do, and love to run it inside the 10. Keep a lookout for that. Same formation again for the third time. This time Rodriguez looks out in the flat and hooks up with Manny Stewart, but he's locked up almost immediately. Good job of gang tackling by the War Eagles. Frankie Sneed was in there to make the stop.
And that's good discipline by the Maryland defense with 2 receivers streaking down the field. The Bearcats tried to catch them with their eyes downfield and throw that short stick route. Maryland not fooled. One of my keys to the game for them was to get to the quarterback. We've seen what Mateo Rodriguez can do when given time in the pocket. That touchdown Jersey scored late in the first half of the first meeting here in Roselle. He had 10 seconds plus to throw that football.
Absolutely. So that was our first play from scrimmage. It went for nothing for the Bearcats. 2nd down and 10. Now they go heavy at the top of your screen. Both in motion from there. Rodriguez looks past the entire way. Goes near side and finds on the sideline his receiver. That'll be good enough for the first down. 1st and goal, Bearcats, as the hookup that time was with Washington.
Washington sitting down right along the boards there as the Bearcats hurry to the line. But at the very least, Maryland forced Rodriguez to throw into a tighter window again. And he made no mistake. There was not a lot of room to put that football.
Ball spotted at the 6-yard line. 1st and goal. This time Ward is in motion. The give is on the knee. No, it's going to be a keeper for Rodriguez. The War Eagles were not fooled, and there to make the clean stop was number 34. We do not have a 34 on our roster.
I'd love to give him his due, Dave.
Yeah,
he made a great play there, and I think the high snap really threw the timing off on that play. I'm not sure Rodriguez could have gotten that handoff away if he wanted to, but good job there by the defensive end to keep his eyes on the football and take the quarterback down.
2nd down and goal from the 7. They work near side, and that pass was broken up. Good play on the near sideline that time by a Frankie Sneed, who crept up in there, broke things up. 3rd and goal.
They're doing it again, Dave. They're forcing Mateo Rodriguez to throw it to some very tight windows early in this game as we get one more look at that failed read option on the previous down. It is now 3rd down, but again, Rodriguez looking to throw to the sideline, trying to fit that ball in a very tight window. You can't make a living with those throws for 4 quarters.
Yep, and you're depending on your wide receiver to make a move at the line of scrimmage, but Sneed was right there on top of the receiver. We're looking at about a 3rd and goal from the 8. Adams is in the backfield, likely to provide some improved protection for Rodriguez. It is Ward coming in left to right. Semicircles around, gets the handoff, makes a move at the 5, and is stood up there inside the 5 to about the 4, where it'll be 4th and goal. And Joe, decision time here for the Bearcats. They do have a new kicker for today's game, Jonathan Cardozo, who was with the team yesterday, but it looks like they're going for this.
And they would not be faced with a decision if it wasn't for linebacker Keon Singleton on that play. Adams tried to juke and finish that run there. I should say Ward tried to juke and finish that run off down around the goal line. Adams in the rare assignment as lead blocker. And that's a big lead blocker coming out of the backfield. But another really nice play by this defensive group for the Maryland War Eagles. And they have a chance to make a huge play on the game's opening drive if they can get off the field.
Big moment here. Ball spotted just inside the 4-yard line. We have 9 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the opening quarter. This is the opening drive of the game. 4th and goal. They go heavy on the right side, all the receivers there. And it looks like Rodriguez, a designed run from the jump, and he is going to be forced out of bounds. And the Bearcats will go quietly on downs inside the 10. And here comes the War Eagles with a head of steam.
In my opinion, Dave, they tipped that play with the pre-snap motion, and I think Maryland was all over it as a result. We'll get another look at it on replays. I believe we have a flag that came out.
Yeah,
but here's one more look at it, and we get a look at the carry. But as soon as the man moved in motion, I knew Rodriguez was keeping that, and you have to think that if I knew it, the defense knew it.
And he went to the right side where there was a sea of blue waiting for him as well. You get the good blocking off the edge, that has a chance. But the War Eagles knew it was coming. We had a personal foul after the play against the Bearcats, actually a offsetting personal fouls against both teams. We'll have to keep our eye on that, too. We did have an ejection or a few ejections throughout the season for guys who picked up 2 personal fouls. So we'll keep our eye on that. Nevertheless, no change in field position. The War Eagles will have to start in the shadows of their own goalpost. They were hit for a safety during the regular season game that was played here in Jersey off of an errant snap. Eo throws it out into the flat. Good move at about the 5-yard line. They get to about the 10, a little bit past that. Joshua Butcher on the catch and run.
That's a good start to the drive. Get yourself out from that very dangerous territory right up against the end zone. In Arena, we see shotgun almost exclusively. And when you're in the shotgun from your own 5, your quarterback's heels are right on that goal line. You now give EO some room to breathe.
So 2nd down and officially 5 as the first down marker is placed at the 15. And this ball is just outside the 10. Eo, who we're seeing at quarterback for the first time here on PDF, looking down the sideline on a rope and almost in stride. The pass a little bit behind Daniel Thomas, but that should have been 6, Joe.
They had it, Dave. You can't ask for a better look at it than that. And not only did they have the chance at it, but EO got that ball out under a lot of pressure. He was about to get lit up on this play. He delivers what was just a bit outside, maybe on the outside corner. We'll give him a strike on that one, given the pressure, but that was as close as it gets without making the reception. What an opportunity there from Thomas. I think he'd probably say he should have had it, but he turned at the last moment, couldn't square himself up to the football. It landed maybe a foot to his right.
That was thrown on a line by EO, and like you said, it was well thrown, just a little bit behind Thomas. Couldn't track it with enough air under it. It'll be 3rd down and 5. See if the Bearcats bring added pressure here. They do. They send in a 4th. The throw is in the low flat, and a good catch and run here as Olds makes one man miss, and at the 25 gets on the positive side in Bearcats territory.
And I was a bit surprised after Olds caught that football that he was able to pick up first down yardage. He sat down a bit short of the sticks, not by much. They certainly would have went for it. But I think the fact that 2 Bearcats were there closing in on him actually helped him out. He pivoted, quickly changed directions, and they had no chance to bring him down before he picked up the line to gain there. We'll get one more look at it. This is a really nice move after the catch, and I think one defender helped to shield off the other there.
Yeah, I think Keemon Coleman might have undercut the route a little bit and was not in the greatest position there, going one way and Olds went the other. First down of the game for the War Eagles, and they're inside of Bearcats territory. Just inside the 25, they send 2 in motion. Once again, the heat is on EO. He looks in the middle of the field. That one almost intercepted off the chest of the wide receiver, Terrell Jones, and the Bearcats had a chance.
Once again, Dave, the Bearcats getting pressure on EO, and once again, he stands in there and makes a good throw. He's been impressive early. This Jersey pass rush has been impressive early, and so far, the pressure from the Bearcats has forced a couple of incompletions, one here on the drop that probably wasn't as much a product of the pressure as it was a product of a drop pass, but the other one, I think, was off the mark because of the pressure that the Bearcats had on the War Eagles quarterback.
That one absolutely should have been caught by Jones, hit him right on the shoulder pads, and the tip drill from there leads to a 2nd down and 10. EO sends 2 in motion here on the near side. They look on the sideline. That's Olds again making the play. Price is there to shove him out of bounds, but that's more than enough for the first down, and it might be good enough to set up a 1st and goal.
This War Eagles offense looking dynamic on this first drive, Dave. This is as impressive of an opening drive as I've covered this year against this Bearcats defense. We talk so much about what the Jersey offense likes to do on their opening drives. This defense very rarely gives up points early in games. That's a big reason why we've seen this Jersey team perform at such a high level in first halves throughout the year.
And we have a media timeout here, and so perhaps just in time for the Bearcats, as we will have a promotion going on the field.
It's time to dress like a Bearcat, Dave.
It is time to dress like a Bearcat, and with this first quarter, we will have our first sponsored timeout, and our first quarter sponsor reminds you that we are sponsored by Pino's Bakery, located on 1027 Chestnut Street in Roselle, New Jersey. Pino's is your prime stop for specialty cakes and pastries and deli delights. Always fresh and made to order, our family-owned shop prides itself on bringing our kitchen into your homes and your heart. Pino's is where family, tradition, and goodness is a daily thing. Visit us at 1027 Chestnut Street in Roselle or online at www.pinosbakery.net. Thank you to our friends at Pino's.
And Dave, it looks like they're going to have the Lady Bearcats try and dress like a Bearcat during our first quarter timeout. Now are you going to give it the old Kevin Harlan on this one, Dave?
I am not. But let's see what they got first. They got the jerseys first. That's some
the jerseys are the easy part.
For these young ladies, well, one's having a problem.
Well, I will tell you, those elastic cuffs can be tricky, Dave.
It could be, and remember,
no, I can't fit them over the guns.
The well-groomed hair of the ladies. You don't want to ruin that.
That's true. That's true. You don't want to mess up the flow.
Oh boy. The helmet's the last one. Oh, they only had the one helmet. So whoever gets the helmet takes the win.
But that looked like a bit of a showboat at the end there,
Dave.
She's
got to take it to the house, Joe. John let her off easy at the 20. She has to go all the way down, score the touchdown.
I don't know. There was a stare down and then a very slow putting on of the helmet there to wrap that one up. Now, is this the night we get a T-shirt? Oh, I can't wear white T-shirts, Dave.
Well.
Oh, Nick wants it. Here comes Nick. Oh, man, rag arm.
Well, anyway, we thank our sponsors at Pino's. Thank you very much all season long. These broadcasts do not happen without the sponsorship of the Bearcats and the AAL, so please visit Pino's Bakery and all of our sponsors who help make these broadcasts happen. Without them, we do not have a broadcast here.
Yeah. What were the pastries we had game one? Vanilla custard?
Those custard cups, and yeah, they were the hit. Week one.
I'm almost tempted to drive the 45 minutes from where I live to pick them up.
It's worth it. Worth the trip.
Well worth the trip. I agree.
As we come back, it's first and goal. Eo looks in the flat to Butcher. Butcher heads in towards the 5. He gets railroaded out of bounds. Couple of guys. Hungerford was the first one there. Nick Price with the finish off as well. But they'll be at the 4-yard line, second and goal.
Well, Coach Roquet talked about being physical in this game, and I'll tell you, that was a physical play right there. Lowering his shoulder was Butcher. He was met without hesitation by 3 Bearcats. That is a big-time collision down around the goal line. Ball spotted at the 4, second and goal.
The Bearcats have been very good this season in goal-to-go situations by the opponents. Of course, we talk endlessly about the constricted confines down there, the rounded corners, obviously, cutting off a lot of real estate, but it is tough in this area of the field, and the Bearcats make it even tougher. Eo with a strong look back in the end zone, and we have a flag down as that ball might have ricocheted off the shoulder pad of Devontae LeGrand, who I believe had good coverage, but that flag came out at around the line of scrimmage, Joe. We'll see what the call is.
This play, pending the flag, was really well defended by the Bearcats. They got 2 receivers going up the field and then making a move to the inside. They tried to then sneak a receiver out of the slot to the outside very quickly with a speed-out sort of look, and the Bearcats were having none of it. I believe it was number 41, Kareem Bernard, who was able to get underneath that route, make sure that Eo couldn't throw the football. Not that it would have mattered, as we had a holding call go against the War Eagles.
So the holding call will back them up to about the 14, and it'll be second and goal from there. And, you know, we've said it, Joe, before, that this could almost be beneficial for the War Eagles here. Getting the added real estate here opens up the field a little bit more. You like it when this happens, Joe.
I personally think it is a much easier time on the play caller back here. They were in a position around the 4 where running it 3 times is by no means a guarantee. So you can't just say, oh, well, we're closer now, let's hand the ball off.
Right.
It doesn't quite work that way. It's much harder to gain the edge with a constricted field. It's just not the same as the NFL 4-yard line. Very different. In terms of the playbook being completely open, I'm not sure I'd want to be back at the 14 versus the 4. But if you told me the 7 or the 8 versus the 4, I think you have more play calling options from the 7 or the 8. That's my opinion on it. I'm sure there are coaches who would adamantly disagree with me.
Well, Maryland did call their first timeout to discuss this. And with 3:05 remaining in the first, they sense this is a big opportunity for them. Perhaps a chance to call a couple of plays in that last huddle. As we get ready to go here, Butcher was in motion from right to left. He'll set up as the slot. They send 2 in motion. Very heavy here on the low side. Eo makes his own room, and the pass was caught in the low flat. Pickup of about 4 or 5, but Joe, here it is. 3rd and goal from the 8.
That's the right read on that play, Dave. Eo got absolutely smacked after he makes this throw, but that was another very well-designed play. If that ball comes out sooner, there's a chance that on the play, the receiver Jones is able to turn upfield and take it for a touchdown. You'll get a look here on the replay, but he sits down. He's open right away, facing the quarterback. That extra half a second for that football to come out allowed the Jersey defense to make the tackle at the point of the catch.
Good short tackling by Tariq Pusey as well. Now they go heavy at the top of your screen. 2 in motion on 3rd and goal, and we have flags once again as it'll be a false start on the offense as the receivers were ahead of the play.
Well, the War Eagles have done themselves no favors down around the end zone on this drive. Holding penalty, now a procedural penalty, false start on 3rd and goal, and undoubtedly they have 4 downs to get this. They don't have to get it all in one shot, but that gain you had on the previous play from scrimmage now negated with that penalty.
Clock continues to run here as we have 2:10 remaining in the first quarter. Both teams have had the ball just the one time. The Eagles still on their first drive of the game. But it will be a 3rd and goal from the 14. Two downs here to gain it. Now remember, they do have a kicker on staff as well. He's been very good in Ryan DeCamp this season. Eo making his own time, scampering to the right, tries to get out of trouble, leaves the ball down on the carpet, and getting to it, if they rule it a fumble, was Kareem Bernard. And indeed, do we get a signal here, Joe?
I don't believe we did. It is fourth down. Fourth down. That was not a fumble, and I think it is about as close as it gets. I was about to say I think that's the right call, but I'll wait for the replay.
Yep.
We have the benefit of the replay. Let's use it and take a look.
Yeah, we'll see it. Maybe we'll see it a second time, even slowed down as we get the knee down and then the ball comes out. I believe he was down, Joe. I saw those knees come down, and then the ball left on the carpet from there. But it's 4th and goal from the 24, and Joe, I think we're going to see a field goal attempt.
This would be as impressive a kick as we've ever seen in an arena game.
It would undoubtedly be the longest field goal we've seen in our 3 years of arena.
How tough with the low roof to kick one from here.
This is a 31 plus 8, so a 39-yard field goal with the low roof. Now we're going to have time whistled as the ball's spotted at the middle of the hash marks. Now we do have a minute remaining in the first quarter. And going back deep, and I think this is a good decision here. Mel Reed is back deep just to play this one if it falls short.
Do you think they're actually going to kick it, Dave?
Yeah, I think they will. He was kicking bombs, and that one does hit the netting. That's a live ball. No, actually it's not, because it's dead once it hits the net. So missed field goal. The Bearcats will take over. And they should take over, I think, at the line of scrimmage, Joe, unless we're going to see where they take over. It will be at the line of scrimmage.
And there's one more look at that play to confirm the knee was indeed down. I think they got it right.
Well, either way, they give the ball back to the Bearcats at that same line of scrimmage anyway. So they got the benefits of a field goal attempt, but the Bearcats will take over.
Well, how about this, Dave? Nearly 14 and a half minutes, 2 possessions in the game.
Absolutely. 2 possessions and no points to show for it either. Both teams go on some pretty decently long drives. The Bearcats gave the ball back at about the 9-minute mark. So that was about an 8.5-minute drive by the War Eagles that ends up with no points. And they could blame themselves a little bit, Joe. A lot of penalties there once they got inside the goal-to-goal situation, and then, of course, that big sack. Will the Bearcats take that shot? We know they love it from this area of the field, and they love using it on first down. It's a card they love to pull from the deck. It'll be Stewart in motion. He's the slot receiver. He's running the post deep. Rodriguez is in trouble, wants to throw it short in the general direction of Kyle Ward, but nobody home. That'll be the final play of the first quarter.
I think he wanted Stewart on that play, Dave. He made a double move toward the corner. We'll get one more look at it perhaps in just a moment, but this should take us to the end of quarter number 1.
See if the horn does indeed sound. The Bearcats are switching fields, and that will do it for the first quarter of play. We have no score between the Bearcats and the War Eagles. We will step aside, take a very short break, and bring you back to action here from Warananko.
The Jersey Bearcats are proud to welcome the sounds of DJ Sparks for the 2025 football season. As heard on Blazing 98.5 FM, DJ Sparks is perfect for nightclubs, concerts, corporate and sporting events. Bringing the party to you. The best sounds and the best time with DJ Sparks. Contact DJ Sparks on social media, email, or by phone, and let's get the party started. DJ Sparks, proud supporter of the Jersey Bearcats.
This fall, NSC Apparel has you covered. We have top quality uniforms with unlimited customization and great pricing. The Supersonic uniform has pro-level fabrics and embroidery, and the Sonic Speed uniform lends itself perfectly for full-body designs. We also offer fan jerseys for the perfect fundraiser. Let us make you the best-dressed team on the field this fall. NSC Apparel, official uniform provider of the Bearcats and the AAL2.
Burgers are better at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
My weekend starts with the Brownstone burger, topped with cheddar, barbecue sauce, and a fried egg.
Give me the Hawaiian burger. I love the Canadian bacon and sweet pineapple.
How do you like your salads? Shrimp, chicken, beef?
Stop in and see why families are eating good at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
Welcome back here to Warananko Sports Arena in Roselle, New Jersey. Nighttime setting in here, and we are scoreless at the end of one. Joe, 2nd and 10 coming up for the Bearcats.
Jersey, again, looking to take the shot downfield on first down. You thought perhaps they should look to run the ball a bit, try and soften up this Maryland defensive front. It's done a good job early in this game.
Something we spoke about while we were on break. Like to see the Bearcats run the football a little bit more. Instead, they go offside as once again the sink on the snap not there as Kyle Ward was well ahead of the play.
We've spoken a lot about the pre-snap penalties and the penalties that have hurt the Bearcats, and it's been a theme throughout the league this year, at least in the games we've covered. I think the second man in motion has really seen a dramatic increase in procedural penalties and pre-snap flags. I think it goes without saying that's a big reason why, and more often than not, when that flag comes out pre-snap, that's the reason.
Yeah, 100%. We've seen it more and more this year, and that's, of course, one of the new rules that was put in place in the indoor game is you are allowed 2 now in motion, and teams have gotten tripped up with it. See if it costs the Bearcats here. 2nd down and 15 on their second drive of the game. They were held scoreless after a goal-to-goal situation. Both teams were in the first quarter. Rodriguez sends him in motion again. He's looking near side in the flat. Catch was made just beyond the 25-yard line by Stewart. And it'll be a 3rd down and about 9 coming up, 9 or 8.
And if you're Maryland, you are perfectly content with that. And I think if you're Jersey, if you can do that each and every down, you might be able to march up the field with these short completions. Something's got to give. Eventually, the top may come off that Maryland defense, or Jersey may break one of those short passes away.
On 3rd and 8, we'll see what they go to now as they will give it underneath to Adams, who lost the football. It's picked up in midair off the carpet, and the War Eagles will take over. Kadeem Bailey was in the right place at the right time, scooped it up. 1st down, War Eagles.
And we thought earlier in the game that Adams may have lost his grip on the football. That was his very first carry. He gets the ball again right here, I believe for the third time in the first quarter plus. And you'll see it right there. Hand on the football. Once again, Keon Singleton making a big play for this War Eagles defense. He kept Jersey out of the end zone on their first drive. He forces a fumble here on drive number 2.
Yeah, and that was Adams trying to bring the ball from his right arm to his left arm, Joe. On that transfer, he lost the ball. But like you said, the War Eagles getting a fist in there, disrupting the ball, and now they take over at the 20-yard line on their second drive. Penalties and turnovers, they are huge intangibles in these games. And both teams have been victim of the penalties, and now we see our game's first turnover. Maryland almost turned it over on their first drive. EO, the flip pass over to Butcher. Butcher gains the 20, the 25, and gets a push close to the first down. He'll be very close to it, as coming in to polish him off from behind was Javon Young.
I would love to know, in regards to this play call, Dave, if this is an option to throw it down the field or pitch it to the back. The way that EO is standing in the pocket, it almost looks as if he's reading his receivers first and then has the option to pitch it to the back if he's open. Let's get one more look at that, Nick, very quickly before this snap and see if we can make out exactly what the play was. Now, we're not seeing it on my monitor for one reason or another. You're only seeing it on yours, Nick, but we'll come back to it later.
So it will be a second down and short here. EO sends a couple in motion, and they're offside again, Joe. And
all right, let's check it out now.
Yeah. So we'll get another look at that last replay. There it goes.
I think they're setting up blocks. Maybe you have the option to throw it out of the slot down the field, maybe. But it looked to me as if that's a design run. Maybe the quarterback has the choice to keep it. Either way, what on the surface looks to be a very simple play call has been very effective early. We've seen them flip it to the back Butcher 3 separate times already.
But they go 5 yards in the negative column again with a pre-snap penalty. Once again off the mistimed snap. That time it was Terrell Jones who went ahead of the play. Second down and 6 yards to go. EO making his own room, scampers down the sideline, first down and more as he dips inside the 15. Before bringing him down was Barry Turner.
And I said it during the pregame, Dave, one of the keys for the Bearcats, contain the opposing quarterback. Back in week 3, it was Hunter Gruden doing a lot of damage with his legs. Right there, F.E.E.O. doing damage with his legs. And I think that's a product of this Maryland team's ability to throw the ball and run it. They've been very, very balanced early in this game. You really can't afford to allocate a QB spy with how balanced their play calling has been.
And a good job by EO to see that Keemon Coleman was coming in on the blitz to his right side, and that's when he decided to move left. A lot of open real estate there. First and 10 from the 13. And number 13 goes back to pass in the flat, and that one was dropped. Once again, the intended receiver was Jones in the flat.
And that would have been a nice first down gain there. If Jones secures that and turns upfield, I think they get anywhere between 5 and 7 yards on that play. And that sets you up in really good position, likely inside the 10-yard line. Instead, it is dropped. 2nd and 10, 4-down territory all the way. And perhaps from this spot on the field, you could consider a kick. The way your defense is playing, if you're confident in your kicker and end up in a 4th down situation, I think you try it.
Quite possible for sure, especially if they can get another couple of yards here. But on 2nd and 10, we'll see what they have dialed up. Butcher is at the line of scrimmage. And up high was Thomas, but now we have a whistle, and we'll have, I believe, the second timeout taken by the War Eagles here in this first half.
Well, once again, I think, as you said before, Maryland now can talk over a sequence of plays here. You talk over the 2nd down play call, and then you start talking about the 3rd down play call, perhaps, given situations. Now, you don't want to overload your offense with play calls in the huddle, but I think you have a play call and then a play call if and one more if. You know what you're looking to do. You have a thorough game plan here. You know how big this drive is if you're Maryland, because they've once again taken a lot of time off the clock, and if they can get a lead entering halftime, they will be receiving the football in the 3rd quarter while in front in this game. That would be huge. And I think the way this game has gone with a couple of really long possessions to start it, you're about at that point where you start thinking about that. How many more times are we going to touch the football here in the first half?
Yep, and the more you have the football in your hand, the less time it's in your opponent's hands. Just simple math in that respect. But the Maryland War Eagles looking to puncture the scoring column. Eo once again has a lot of room in front of him. To the 5, he gets flattened at about the 2 or 3. Big hit by LeGrand on Eo, but that's good enough for a first down.
That is a touchdown-saving tackle by Devontae LeGrand on that play. I thought Eo had it all the way, Dave. You and I both thought he was headed for the end zone and likely would get there without much trouble. Instead, he gets demolished at the end of that play. LeGrand putting everything on the line to keep him out of the end zone, as you'll see here on the replay.
We'll get another look at it, but again, going to that left side after Coleman comes in on the right side, that fourth guy coming in, Joe, on the blitz, and Eo's recognizing it, and we're going to have another sponsored timeout here as we are inside of 9 minutes to go. And with this timeout in the second, it's all about fitness. I think we're going to have a hula hoop contest here in this one. Our contestants will do their thing, and it's sponsored by Infinite Athletic Training located in Piscataway, New Jersey. They're also part of our second quarter giveaway at Warananko, the Electrolyte Boost. Imagine hydration, but without the water. Get your performance back on track. Get boosted with the Electrolyte Boost. For samples, fundraising for your team, or to purchase packets, contact Jermaine Sanders, co-owner of the Jersey Bearcats, at 201-667-6374 or email at jerseybearcatsarenafootball@gmail.com. And let's make sure we stay fit after all these great snacks at Warananko with Infinite Athletic Training, www.infiniteathletictraining.com.
Well, fortunately for me, Dave, it's summertime, which means I have a lot more free time. I've been getting fit again. We've been back in the gym, and this hardly looks like a fair contest. Wow. Initially, it looked like one of our Lady Bearcats had it in the bag, and one of our fans near the end there came surging back. Now, was it keep the hoop on from start to finish, whoever keeps it the longest, or was it total time hooping?
I think it's start to finish.
Start to finish.
Oh, look at that. Robbed.
Where?
Lavona got robbed of a T-shirt. Right in front, the hand went up.
Oh. Was it a white T-shirt?
No, it was black.
Oh, I want that one.
Yeah. You missed
Why haven't we gotten T-shirts?
Well, that T-shirt's toss, sponsored by the folks on your
What
screen,
shirt
Infinite
is that?
Athletic Training.
And it's an XL. That's my
and
size.
The Electrolyte Boost. Thank you to our sponsors.
That's a nice shirt.
As we get you back to action.
Thanks, Nick.
It'll be first and goal. In order to get the shirt, you got to do the hula hoop contest. It could be you, Nick, and Pat.
I forfeit.
On the field. You could get
me, Nick, and Pat
down into your, your bathing suit. It's the summertime, and do some hula hoops for the ladies in attendance. I left you
speechless.
There you go. Butcher on the toss. He's going to get held for a loss, and a pretty heavy loss at that. Loss of about 3 or 4 on the play. Good job of pursuit that time, led by Nick Price.
Bearcats making some big tackles down around the goal line these last 2 plays. Another huge hit. And just going back to the previous play where Eo had a chance to get in, I thought maybe if he went low he had a chance. There was no chance on this play. Butcher slowed down and then wrapped up. No opportunity to break that one out of the backfield. But, man, if you're Jersey, it looked like they were about to go behind by 6 points. It may be easy to forget that play by LeGrand as this game goes on, especially if the Bearcats do ultimately win by a couple of scores. But if this game ends up close, I think that's going to be a huge key play in this game.
Just over 8 minutes to go here in the first half. Second down and goal from about the 6. Eo gets swallowed up. Might have had a man in the flat. It was Olds, but he never saw him as Price was in there, Garner was in there, and Chris Rohn for the extra measure.
They had as easy a touchdown as you could ask for, Dave. Pitch and catch, Olds wide open from the moment the ball was snapped. Yeah. They ran this play at the other end of the field, and I think what happened is Eo remembered how Jersey defended it. Last time they ran that play, I believe it was number 41, Kareem Bernard. He undercut that route when they ran it down at the other end of the field. I think that caused Eo to completely look off that passing pattern and didn't throw it that time. He had it. That was an easy pitch and catch for a touchdown. Instead, it is 3rd and very long.
Yeah, if we get another chance to see that at some point later, Joe, you'll notice that when Olds turns around for the ball, EO had already 2 or 3 jerseys on top of him. That one is in the flat and was tipped by Joey Ramirez at the line of scrimmage. And it'll be 4th and goal from inside the 15.
Here comes the field goal unit, Dave. They're going to try the kick.
And, you know, Joe, I got to hand it to the Bearcats. The last time the War Eagles had a 1st and goal from the 4-yard line, that drive ended at midfield. And now they had a 1st and goal from the 2, and this drive ends at the 15-yard line with a field goal attempt, so still some points on the table. It was a missed field goal last time. If you add on the 8 yards that are in the end zone, we're looking at about a 29-yard field goal with this very low ceiling here. It's blocked, and a live ball on the carpet is corralled by the Bearcats. Young got on top of it, and for the second time in the game, the War Eagles have a 1st and goal inside the 5 and come away with nothing.
This Bearcats defense in the red zone has been phenomenal, Dave, but it all starts with that tackle by LeGrand. I thought they had a walk-in touchdown, and perhaps EO thought he had the walk-in touchdown, tried to contort his body right around the goal line, and LeGrand sold out to pin him to the boards. After that, they did not move forward on a single play, and Jersey gets it back. We've talked all season long and each of the last 3 seasons about how explosive this Jersey offense is. Tonight it's been the defense, and we've said it as well. It's not only this offense that makes big plays, the defense certainly capable, and we're seeing that on full display here in this first half. Under 6 minutes to go until halftime.
Yep, and this is the playoffs for you. Very tight, game of inches, and perhaps on that first field goal try by DeCamp, recognizing how low the ceiling was, tried to really line drive that through. And there was a bunch of linemen there with their hands up. There's the give, this time to Ward. And Ward is able to cut ahead for about 5 yards.
And that's a good first down play. You get to nearly midfield on the carry, but you pick up 4, maybe 5. Give them 5 on the play. And now you get moving in the right direction. You don't have to hit a big pass play on 3rd down to pick up a first. They're in hurry-up mode.
And it is Ward continuing to stay in the backfield with Adams having fumbled on the last drive. They look in the flat right near the first down marker. The catch was made by Todd Simmons Jr. We'll see if it's enough for the first down.
I think he just got it, Dave. Though when I saw him catch it, I thought he was short.
Yeah,
now,
it looks like it will be.
They have spotted him short. I thought the lines judge on our sideline had given him the first down.
Well, it is being moved
they're moving it up, and they
bit.
are going to give him the first down.
Is it enough? Yes, it is.
Yeah. Let's run that back one more time, Nick. I thought he may have been just short.
Looked like Simmons set up right inside the pylon or right inside the first down marker and got stood up right there.
Here's another look.
Yeah, we'll see where Simmons stops his route. It's right in front of the marker, and
I think he had it. I think his arms were across the line to gain. I think he had it. It's a good call.
That ball trapped right on his shoulder pad, which was right at the first down marker. So 1st and 10.
How did he hold on to that?
Yeah, new set of downs just outside the 20. The give once again is to Ward. Ward does make the first tackler miss. Piles ahead forward, loses his helmet for good measure. He might be just a trickle short of the first.
And Singleton almost made another great play, Dave. He was in there to blow that one up. And for the first time tonight, he could not wrap up the ball carrier. That allowed Ward to pick up a nice chunk.
2nd and 2 coming up here from about the 13-yard line, just inside the 13. The give once again underneath, and that time the Eagles not fooled. Rodriguez had the option there, Joe, but felt the players were going to come to him, gave it to Ward, and he was swallowed up for a loss.
Yeah, he was in a stare down with number 34, who once again is not on our roster. They were face-to-face, just waiting for one to make a move, and it was Rodriguez who hands the football off. And
yep, there it is.
There's a nice freeze frame of it. Whether that was intentional or not, I'm not sure if that was a video glitch or great engineering work by Nick. That's right, great engineering by Nick.
Now, the War Eagles do have a member on the line. They do have a lineman who is without a number tonight, D. Redmond. I'm not sure if he's wearing number 34. Could be, but 34 is without a number.
I think that would make sense.
It would make sense.
Let's assume it's him.
It's 3rd down and 4. Redmond it is, playing defensive line. It's a big play here. Undoubtedly 2-down territory. Washington is the receiver in motion, but I think the Bearcats have whistled for a timeout. We'll see if it's official. And it is. 2:49 remaining, and the Bearcats have used their first.
That's the big number, Dave. 2:49 to go. This very well could be the last time Jersey touches the football in the first half. And from experience, we know not to call the half too early. These teams need anywhere from 3 to 5 seconds to score. So you can certainly make something happen with very limited time, but the way this game has gone and the way that these two teams have driven the football in their first few drives, it is very reasonable to think that you might not touch the football again. If you're the Bearcats, you need to make this drive count, make sure you get this play call right, and execute here on third down.
Yep. Last time these two teams played, the Bearcats scored a touchdown right at the end of the first half to make it, at that time, a 3-score game. But in a game like this, Joe, where it's been a battle of attrition defensively, this is a big, big drive and a big, big scoring opportunity for the Bearcats. Can't leave points on the field consistently. Washington in motion once again, right to left. He lines up in the slot, middle of the field, extends, touchdown!
Bearcats execute on third, Dave. Well-executed play there. You could see two receivers come open. I thought initially this ball was going to the right sideline, but Rodriguez had other plans. He delivers a strike down the middle of the field for the touchdown, and Jersey had their pick on this play. If you take a look here, they had the look in the end zone, they had a look on the sideline, and the reason why is the defensive back, Javon Taylor, he got caught between two offensive players. They did not have the same level of help in the secondary that they've had throughout the game, and that's a really tough position to be in if you're Taylor. Not much he could do there, and a great throw by Rodriguez to put Jersey in front.
Jonathan Cardoza for the point after, hits the top first, no good. Now, they're in the rules, Joe, it does say that if it carries over, because we've seen that happen before, but yeah. I think it was hit too high up, and so it's no good.
I don't know under what circumstance. I mean,
it looked good to me, but
if it hits the ceiling and goes through, and it's good in some cases, it certainly should be good in that case, because that very clearly was headed right down the middle, and it rebounded off the ceiling and landed through.
Yeah, my guess is that it hit the top netting too much in front of the goalpost, and it aided it into the goal. That could be the result. We've seen it hit a little bit closer, and that has counted before. But in any event, 6-0 as Cardoza joins the Bearcats for this game. He was with the Bearcats last year on this roster and was with the Wheeling Miners for a better part of this season after attending training camp with the Bearcats, and now he's back here for the playoffs.
All right, Dave, we have some help from the live chat. Number 34 is Ty DeSilva, who is also not on our roster.
Right.
Yeah, but that is.
But thank you, live chat.
That is Ty wearing number 34. So thank you to TJ Big Country Cother. Yeah, hopefully I didn't butcher that as well.
Big Country, that's a good nickname right there.
1:56 to go, first half. First points of the game are scored, and Maryland is going to get some good field position here.
I was just about to say, Joe, with 1:53 left, if you're Maryland, you're going to have to hurry down the field, but maybe not, because they'll have the ball inside of Bearcats territory to start this drive. So I believe that hit on the Bearcats side on the netting, but they're going to place it at the 20-yard line of the War Eagles. So the Bearcats have struck first blood here. It's 6-0. Last time these two teams played, the Bearcats pitched a shutout in the first half. The only points that they yielded here in Jersey were in the second half of that game.
The backbreaker in that game was the touchdown in the closing seconds of the first half.
At the end.
That changed the game completely.
Right. Bearcats were just able to, I don't want to say play on cruise control for the rest of the way, but really with that type of a cushion, played very comfortable. They worked towards the sideline, intercepted by Tariq Pusey. Pusey making a move and scampers close to the goal line. He's out of bounds inside the 5. Bearcats back with the ball, first and goal.
Pusey had it thrown right to him, Dave. Miscommunication there between quarterback and receiver as we have reached the 1-minute warning. Now he's trying to get a look toward the Maryland bench to figure out who was in the wrong here. And I'm not sure it really mattered, because if that ball goes down the field, it's intercepted. If you throw a route underneath, Pusey's all over it. And then Pusey did a phenomenal job to stay in bounds down inside the 10. He bought himself a few extra yards on that run back, waiting to see exactly where they spotted the football. But either way, it was in very good field position. They're at the 1. They're at the 1 yard line, Dave. So Pusey looked as if he was going to be out around the 5, maybe even further back than that. Instead, Jersey needs just 1 yard to make this a 2-score game, and how quickly just 2 plays have completely shifted this game.
100%, and the Bearcats defense came to play tonight. They've ruined a couple of first and goal opportunities for the War Eagles, held them to missed field goals on both of those drives, and now they get the critical turnover that sets them up potentially with an opportunity to cash in on a 1-yard drive for a touchdown. Look at Chris Roan in the backfield at fullback. He paves the way for Adams, and Adams is in for the touchdown, and the Bearcats go up by 2 scores.
Never a chance for Maryland with Roan leading the way on that play, Dave. He pushed the pile straight through to the back of the end zone. Adams didn't have to do much except follow the big guy up front. And Jersey goes in front by a pair of scores. It's now 12-0. Just a minute and a half ago, things were looking a bit shaky for the Bearcats. 3rd and long. You might be giving the ball up before halftime. Maryland getting it back with a chance to take the lead. Instead, the Bearcats in front by 12, pending the extra point.
They do elect to go for 1 here. Chris Kulo with the hold. Cardoza has it blocked, and that one is no good. It will not be returned, and our score remains 12-0 with 51 seconds remaining in the first half.
51 huge seconds for the Maryland War Eagles, Dave. They need points.
Yeah, they do.
You can't go into the half down by 2 scores, given what we've seen so far in this first half from the Bearcats defense. I think you really have to prioritize this drive. Are they capable of making up a 2-score deficit, receiving the second half kickoff? Absolutely. But this Jersey defense in this game has really been phenomenal down around the end zone. If you don't eventually hit the big play, if you're Maryland, you may not score in this game, because so far they have not shown us the ability to punch it in down around the end zone.
That's right. And, you know, if you're Maryland, you got to be really careful here too, Joe. You do have plenty of time with 51 seconds and 1 timeout, but the Bearcats know you have to put the ball in the air, and they've been getting to EO often, causing distress in the backfield, and they're coming off of their first pick. So if you're the Bearcats defense, you might be smelling a little blood in the water as well. Line drive kick this time. Bounds up in the air and taken at about the 1 yard line. The War Eagles gaining the 10-yard line before getting punched out of bounds was Daniel Thomas. And the Maryland War Eagles will be about 40 yards away from pay dirt with 43.8 seconds remaining.
43.8, an eternity. The one thing you can't afford is a turnover, and typically I'd say priority number 1, make sure the Bearcats don't get the ball back. But I think in the playoffs, Dave, that's playing it too safe. You have to go for the score here. You can't go into the half trailing by 2 scores against this Bearcats team. Your offense has had a pretty good first half. Not great, but it's been pretty good. They've moved the ball. That being said, the number that matters, the 0 up on the scoreboard. They've moved the ball. They have to make it worth something. No better time than on this drive.
Officially spotted at the 13-yard line for the War Eagles. They have been able to move the ball in this first half. They've just gotten stonewalled once they've gotten inside the Bearcats 5. And, of course, the turnover on the last drive. At the bottom of your screen is Glenn Keller. It will be a pitch out to Butcher, but flags all over the place. Breaks up the continuity of that play, and it looks like it'll be against the War Eagles.
The officials are discussing it right now, and if this is against Maryland,
they've picked
it up.
So they'll redo the down here, first down.
Now, do they put that time back?
Well, it was 43.8, we said. Yeah. It's down to 41.6, so they lost 2.2 seconds. Could be critical.
I think the second should go back.
Yep, and it looks like that's what they're doing. 43, they're going to put the time back on the clock, and that's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'll get the milliseconds, but
they should.
They should.
You never know. Now, if the clock stops at milliseconds, can you run a play? Or it'd be tenths of a second?
10 seconds, yeah. That's what I meant.
Oh, they gave him a bonus, 8 tenths.
44.6. They gave him
a bonus, 8 tenths.
All right. It's a game of inches and a game of tenths of a second. Now they put it even 44.
Oh, there we go. 43.6.
They got shafted 2 tenths of a second.
That is true.
We got receipts up here. In motion is Butcher. They are way offside.
Yeah, I was about to say, how is that legal?
It's Jones guilty of the offsides call again. That's the second or third against Jones. And that's got to be frustrating here for the War Eagles because they're adding up now. It'll be 1st and 15.
As you back up and move closer and closer to your own end zone, I think that's where your priorities begin to shift a little bit from we need to score to protect this football. You need the clock to run after one play of positive yardage to get this to a point where you're very close to the end of the half. And I think you want to force Jersey to use their timeouts at the very least. At the very least, make Jersey use their timeouts.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to do something productive with the ball too because the Bearcats will easily use their timeouts and get the ball back with 30, 25 seconds.
I think with Maryland backing up, Jersey now can really start to feel as if they have a shot to get this ball back.
Well, it's 1st and 15. They'd love to at least run a play here. The War Eagles after a couple of stops to the first down here. EO under some pressure, dances out of it, comes out towards the 15, the 20, the 25, and slides down, gives himself up just inside of Bearcats territory. That's good enough for the first down. And we have a stoppage and a timeout called by the War Eagles. That's their final timeout. Bearcats defensive coordinator John Valentine thought they were out of timeouts, but that indeed was the last one.
They had one.
33.2 remaining. So that's still lots of time.
And boy, did the War Eagles need that, Dave. Yep. EO just got away there, was able to keep his balance through the shoestring tackle attempt, and after that, he brings it across midfield to the Bearcats 24. And if you're Jersey, do you consider maybe putting a spy on him now? Because I think the odds of them running the football with the back are slim to none. Yeah. I don't think you try it. So I think you can afford now to maybe put that extra defender in a QB spy role and keep your eye on EO.
Well, it was Hungerford who missed the tackle, and he is the middle linebacker here. And got enough of the shoe to maybe take him down, but then EO just danced around it. And instead of a 2 or 3 yard gain, it became a 21-yard gain. Ball's at the Bearcats 24-yard line. 2 in motion. EO under pressure again, throws it short, incomplete. Broken up by Tariq Pusey coming up over top.
And that felt like a throw out of necessity, Dave. EO felt the pressure coming, didn't have anything down the field, and he took a chance there. Pusey already has 1 interception. I wouldn't say he came close to a second, but he was in a spot there coming in on the receiver and closing in on that football where he at least got his hands on it, and you don't want to see the DB get his hands on the football this late in the half.
Still, though, maybe a beneficial incompletion because they only would have gotten about 4 or 5 on that play, and the clock would still be running. They would have been forced to spike here on second down. Instead, it's 2nd and 2. Jones was all sorts of offside again. And, I think the officials are trying to give him a little bit of leeway,
They
Joe.
are. They're giving him plenty.
Yeah, he's 2 yards past the line of scrimmage. He really needs to shorten up his jump there. Or
now, is that on him or is that on the snapper?
Well,
is that on the quarterback?
I think with 2 in motion, it has to be on him. I think it has to be.
That can't be easy to coordinate.
Yeah, because I would think you'd want your receivers to be even.
I have to be honest, Dave. I hate the rule change.
Yeah.
I hate it because it's drastically slowed the games. We get so many penalties. It just doesn't seem like the teams are accustomed to it. It's every team. It's not just one team.
2nd down and 15. EO pressure to his left. Throws one up. It is incomplete. Went off the fingertips of Daniel Thomas. It was a little bit underthrown, and Barry Turner was there to interfere with the catch, but there was one again that the War Eagles were very close to completing.
Well, I think Thomas has a touchdown, if not for Barry Turner, because Turner broke it up. Thomas was there waiting for it, and I think all he could have done more is elevate. If he elevates, maybe he gets his arms, gets the breadbasket over the outstretched arm of Turner, but that's a great play by Turner to even spark this conversation, because out of the hand of EO, I thought he had the touchdown. Once again, they had the look. Once again, they can't connect. This could very easily be a tie game.
Now there's 19.2 seconds to go, and it's 3rd down and 15. So if you're the War Eagles and you get a part of this and the clock is running, you got to get right back to the line of scrimmage for a final play. The pitch is to Butcher. Butcher trying to make a couple of guys miss, does. Gains a 25, and it gets taken out of bounds. That's a crucial out of bounds there because it stops the clock, or it should have.
It does not.
The clock is still moving. Yeah, the officials are waving a stoppage, and it's still not stopping. And will that be the half? No, they are going to put time on the clock.
Well, Maryland's leaving, Dave.
Well, Maryland and the Bearcats were leaving too, but it's clear as day. They marked him out of bounds. The arms went up to stop the clock with about 11 seconds to go, 10, 11 seconds to go. It'll be 4th down and 8.
I am shocked at how content they were to just leave,
right.
Dave.
Well, because the other factor here, Joe, is whatever this play is, you got to take up the final 11 seconds. You don't want to give the ball back, having not gotten the first down, back to the Bearcats for one play before half.
11 seconds is an amount of time where it's very difficult to decide we're taking the rest of this half with us. I don't think you can do that.
Sure. So, you got to either go for the end zone here and try to, go all the way back if you're the quarterback and throw for the end zone. One final play if you do leave 1 second left. But, yeah, I think if you're the Eagles, you're thinking, let's get out of here. And this is sort of looking eerily similar to the first game that we had here in Jersey, where the Bearcats had a 12-0 lead. It seemed like that was what it was going to be at half, and they ended up punching one just before the end of the first half to make it 18.
Well, Dave, they put 7.9 on rather than 11, so it becomes a bit easier to take the half with you.
I agree. Butcher is in there for some added protection for EO. They come in hot, elevating, making the catch is Jones. Jones makes a man miss at the 10. He gets inside the 10, but that will do it. The War Eagles cannot stop the clock, and we are indeed at the half. The Bearcats defensively hold the entire first half, and they take a 12-0 lead into intermission. Joe, let's hang out here. We'll wait to see if head coach A.J. Roquet takes the headset here. There is a penalty as well at the end of this half, and it might be a personal foul against the War Eagles. And if so, that'll do it. So
it is a penalty against Maryland to end the half.
Still something
now,
to work
they would
out.
have to run a play, Dave. If there's a penalty to end the half, they might have to run a play.
Well, on a defensive foul.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We get an official signal. I'm being obscured by the now they're going to get the coaches involved. So we'll keep things right here. Reminder, at halftime, we'll have our Lady Bearcat spotlight. A couple of interviews with them that we'll conduct. So stick around after the break. Meanwhile, the War Eagles have gone into their locker room, and the Bearcats
they're
are
long gone.
Just about there as well. They're all hanging out by the doorway here. Field is cleared otherwise.
My guess is that the coaches will discuss how the personal foul is going to be enforced. I would think you have to enforce it to start the second half.
Possibly.
Or run up another play.
It looks like, I was just keeping my eye on AJ to see if he grabs that. We'll have to unmute him if we do. So before we throw it to break, we'll see if head coach AJ Roquet will join us. I don't think he will. He forgot about us, Joe, and, that's typical of head coaches.
I would say we're very forgettable, but that would be a knock on the network now, wouldn't it?
He's got other things on his mind. So what we will do is we will take a break. When we come back after our full allotment of sponsors, we'll talk to our Lady Bearcats and get you ready for the second half and break down this first one. At the end of the first half, it's 12-0 Jersey. Stay with us. This is AAL2 Playoffs on the PDF Sports Network.
Burgers are better at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
My weekend starts with the Brownstone burger, topped with cheddar, barbecue sauce, and a fried egg.
Give me the Hawaiian burger. I love the Canadian bacon and sweet pineapple.
How do you like your salads? Shrimp, chicken, beef?
Stop in and see why families are eating good at the Brownstone in Metuchen.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
We'll meet you at the Brownstone.
Jersey Bearcats football is brought to you by Pino's Bakery. Located at 1027 Chestnut Street in Roselle, Pino's is your prime stop for specialty cakes, pastries, and deli delights. Always fresh and made to order, our family-owned shop prides itself on bringing our kitchen into your homes and your heart. Pino's is where family, tradition, and goodness are a daily thing. Visit us at 1027 Chestnut Street in Roselle or online at pinosbakery.net. Thank you to our friends at Pino's Bakery.
This fall, NSC Apparel has you covered. We have top quality uniforms with unlimited customization and great pricing. The Supersonic uniform has pro-level fabrics and embroidery, and the Sonic Speed uniform lends itself perfectly for full body designs. We also offer fan jerseys for the perfect fundraiser. Let us make you the best dressed team on the field this fall. NSC Apparel, official uniform provider of the Bearcats and the AAL2.
Today's game is presented by Total Performance Bodywork with Dave Riemann. Dave is a body worker, licensed massage therapist, and strength and movement coach. He's combined his wide variety of expertise into a system that he calls Total Performance Bodywork. Trusted by professional athletes and bodybuilders, Dave has been helping people to recover from new and old injuries, improve their breathing efficiency, athletic performance, mobility, flexibility, and their overall strength. Visit Total Performance Bodywork at totalperformancebodywork.com or contact Dave by calling 610-570-7480 or email Dave Riemann at rcn.com.
Refined, restorative, results-driven. At CMX iMed Bar, we blend medicine, aesthetics, and wellness into one luxury experience, led by Dr. Angela Roque. Located in the heart of Pier Village, Long Branch. Visit cmximedbar.com or text 9089-232-694 to look better, feel better, live elevated.
KKT. InvestStars is now a proud sponsor of the Jersey Bearcats and the AAL2. No matter what needs you have, F. Tarkin Jones will develop the right solution for you. See for yourself the star treatment you will get with KKT, InvestStars LLC. Call today at 201-290-4802 and be a star, just like the Bearcats.
If you plan to do chicken, then do chicken like a champ at Wing It On in Linden. Voted #1 medium wing sauce at the National Buffalo Wing Festival. Wing It On is family owned and operated in Linden, New Jersey, and we have an excellent array of your favorite wings and chicken done to perfection. We have the true flavor of champions at Wing It On. Stop in or order now at wingiton.com or call our store at 908-486-0910.
The Jersey Bearcats are proud to welcome the sounds of DJ Sparks for the 2025 football season. As heard on Blazing 98.5 FM, DJ Sparks is perfect for nightclubs, concerts, corporate and sporting events. Bringing the party to you. The best sounds and the best time with DJ Sparks. Contact DJ Sparks on social media, email, or by phone, and let's get the party started. DJ Sparks, proud supporter of the Jersey Bearcats.
No, I'm right. The podcast that uncovers the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Nick Dirks here along with Joe Calabrese.
Here we are, 200 episodes later, about 150 episodes with guests, our friends, soon to be your friends.
Well, it's pretty clear, Joe, that it's all about You Know I'm Right, the podcast. That's my You Know I'm Right moment. Wanted to do a podcast, and everyone was like, what are you, crazy? Who's going to listen? You're not going to get guests. Well, guess what? I'm the best when it comes to getting guests. You could vouch for that.
I am so happy that you asked me to do this. I couldn't have been more thrilled, and Follow us on socials. Check us out. I promise you, if you want to work in media, whether you work in media now, whether you want to quit your job and work in media, come to us, and I promise you, we will get you on the right foot.
That's what it's all about, uncovering the origin stories of some of the biggest names in sports, media, and entertainment. Keep it locked on You Know I'm Right.
The Jersey Bearcats are back for another exciting season of AAL2 Arena football. Get on board with us and follow us all year long. For information on our donations, sponsorships, and game day, and ticket information, please contact us at jerseybearcatsarenafootball@gmail.com.
While we have a break in the action, the Jersey Bearcats would like to thank the Union Junior ROTC and the U.S. Army ROTC for their support of the Bearcats in AAL2 football.
All right, we are back here live from the Warananko Sports Arena in Roselle. It's time for our Lady Bearcat Spotlight, and we have Pina joining us from downstairs. Pina, first and foremost, great show here at halftime for the fans. Tell me a little bit about what goes into that choreography each game during halftime.
Sure. So during choreography days, it's a very long practice day. We learn choreography in one setting in one day, and then we clean it up, and then we perform it. So every week we perform new routines. So yeah.
All right, so Pina, tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you to dance? What got you to cheer? Tell me a little bit about your arc getting here to the Bearcats.
So I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. I've always done competitive dancing. I actually run my own team. I'm a coach for a college Staten Island. And I always wanted to pursue dance, so here I am doing it.
Well, everybody here also works at the College of Staten Island, so we have that in common. So that's great stuff. So, tell us a little bit about what being part of the Bearcats family is like. I know you guys are super close when you're not, doing your thing. You're selling, materials. You're doing community service stuff. Tell me a little bit about that family atmosphere.
Yeah, we're such a big sisterhood. We always have each other's backs. Even when we're out here practicing with the football team, we're all just like one big family, and I love that. I think that's my favorite part of being on this team. Excellent.
And tell the folks at home how to get involved with a team like the Bearcats and what they have to do to kind of join you guys.
Yeah, so follow us on Instagram for sure. We definitely have auditions, and all the information that you can see is on our Instagram. So I would definitely follow along and come through our journey.
Excellent. So finally, Pina, I'll ask you, I know you're coaching yourself and you're dancing here for the team. What are your overall career goals involving dance and cheer and that world?
The goal is to be on an NBA court.
Yes.
That's the goal. I always wanted to do professional dancing and join an agency. And yeah, this is my first year starting it, so hopefully it goes well. Well,
Pina, it's a pleasure meeting you. You guys do a great job every single game. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank
Excellent.
you.
All right, so we're going to switch headsets, and we'll give Kenya the reins. We'll allow her to get the headset on. All right, Kenya, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
All right, excellent. Welcome to the halftime here.
Hi.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about where you're from and how you got to the Bearcats.
Yes, my name is Kenya. I'm from North Jersey. I actually just started dancing about 2 years ago. I wanted to go pro, and I saw the Lady Bearcats and how their launch pad to be a professional dancer, and I just took the opportunity, and I'm glad I did.
So, only 2 years ago doing this, so you have to have a tremendous amount of belief in yourself and a lot of confidence to do what all of you do. Tell me a little bit about, what it takes to put yourself out there, learn these routines, and then physically what it takes to be a competitive dancer.
Yeah, it definitely takes confidence. That's always number one, having to believe in yourself, and definitely training. No days off, really. We learn sometimes 2 to 3 routines a night and have to perform it that weekend. So definitely practicing outside of practice is very important to be a professional, because it's a very fast-paced environment. And like I said, this program really just gives us what we need to prepare for that. So
excellent. And I was mentioning to Pina as well that you guys have a really large team too. So tell me a little bit about the family environment, getting along with everybody, doing stuff outside of dance as well with the team.
Yes, It's a team of sisters, really. In the beginning, we were a bunch of girls who didn't know each other, but being in such an environment that's intense and fast-paced, you kind of need each other to rely on, especially when things get hard. I have a couple of teammates that I meet with sometimes outside of practice. We go to the studio, we give each other feedback, so it's nice to have someone that has your back and just you can always turn to when you need somebody.
Excellent. So, Kenya, I'll finalize by asking you, what are some of your long-term goals? I know you said you wanted to go pro.
Yes.
What does that look like for you? Where would you like to go pro? What sports?
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I definitely want to get into NFL. That's a big dream of mine. I'm looking at Texas. I would love to go to Texas and cheer. It's really big over there. And yeah, I feel like arena football is a good place to start. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, Kenya, it's a joy watching you guys do what you do every single week. You guys are super talented. Thank you for joining us here at halftime.
Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, that was our Lady Bearcat Spotlight, and about to go on headset is our head coach, AJ Roque, who will join us here at the half. He's done this before, put on the headset. Hey, AJ, you hear me all right?
Yep.
Excellent. So, AJ, first question I have for you, you know, it was a struggle a little bit to get on that scoreboard at first, but you called the timeout right before the touchdown. What did you see that made you call that next play? Did you see something there before the touchdown?
Well, we called the exact same play. I seen confusion.
Okay.
And we just seen their safety. Once we went in loop motion, he was moving over. So it was just confusion on the right side, not so much the guy going in motion. I just wanted to make sure we got it right.
Excellent. Now, you said during pregame you wanted to play physical. You guys are playing physical. Your defense has been getting after it, and they put a 0 on the scoreboard. You win a lot of games that way. Tell me a little bit about how impressed you are with the defensive performance.
Yeah, that first quarter, we were letting the quarterback get outside. We weren't containing. 5 minutes or so, second quarter left. I think that's when we really turned it on, and we expect to continue to keep putting on pressure and playing physical the second half.
All right, AJ, you're up by 2 scores. Last time you played them, they had a pretty good second half against you guys. Tell me what it's going to take to put them away.
Keep that same energy up. That same energy that we just ended that first half with, we got to start with the second half and finish out to that clock hit 0.
All right, Coach, best of luck in the second half.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. AJ Roque joining us here as we get set for the second half. That takes us right into our third quarter. Great chance to get to know a little bit more of the Lady Bearcats, who are just as much a part of this Bearcats organization as their counterparts in red here tonight. And they do a great job. We're happy to spotlight them. And Joe, pretty typical what we expected AJ to say. Keep up the intensity, keep up the momentum, and put away this Warwick Eagles team.
We've said it all season long, Dave. What you and I have been looking for from this Bearcats team is 4 strong quarters. Once again, Dave, they find themselves halfway there. The offense probably didn't get off to the start they were hoping for, but they rectified that in the second quarter. And I think overall you have to be pleased with that first half. Your defense was phenomenal, especially where it mattered most, down around the goal line. Your offense made enough plays to put your team ahead by 2 scores, and now you have a chance, perhaps, with a stop and 1 more score to put this game away early in the third. If you're Maryland, on the other side of things, you score here, you're right back in it.
Absolutely, and perhaps if you're the Bearcats, you like this. Your defense will take the field first, coming off of a very impressive first half. We heard AJ say, first half a little bit sloppy. They gave up a lot of yards on the ground, especially to EO getting out of the backfield, but they did put a lot of pressure on him, conversely, and forced him into a couple of tough throws.
They certainly did, and early in this game, EO was up to the task. He made a couple of tremendous throws with defenders all over him, and I think that pressure began to get to him as the half progressed, Dave. We saw him throwing some passes that really felt like he was getting rid of the football for the sake of avoiding the sack.
Yeah.
Because receivers weren't getting as open, and the timing on those patterns was a bit off. And we saw, of course, the big one, the big miscue, the interception. Those need to be cleaned up here in the second half. A big opportunity to do so in a game that is just a 12-point game. You score here, you're right back in it.
Cardozo puts one off the carpet at about the 25. It's spinning and twisting and finally corralled by Kadeem Bailey. Bailey gets fronted at about the 15 and takes it to about the 17-yard line before he's finished off by Kareem Bernard.
That was a job well done there by Bailey, because that ball, for the second or third time tonight, took a very unorthodox hop off the turf, and it was a hop that really didn't help this War Eagles team out much, and Bailey was forced to play it with his fingertips, tip it down to himself. He took what was, as I said, a bad bounce and turned it into a pretty nice return out to about the 17-yard line, maybe the 18.
The War Eagles had the ball in Bearcats territory 3 different times in the first half, including twice inside of the 5, could not score points. Now their backs are up against the wall and they need a response. Down by 2 scores. Eo working out of the shotgun. Flyers get off to the start. They work it in the flat to Keller. Keller gets hit from behind by Rodriguez, close to the first down, and forward momentum might have carried him over. Looks to be a bit short, as once again we have a very late flag coming in from the deep secondary.
And we're going to see it on the replay, but the Bearcats were all over this. They were trying to take away that short swing pass, that toss to the back, and they very nearly picked this ball off. Get a look at it right here on the replay. You can see it. They had a defender in Willie Garner assigned to that area of the field to try and take that pass away. Wherever the back is going, that's where he's going, and he nearly came up with the INT. That would have been a game changer. Instead, the Bearcats commit a penalty that I believe added 10 yards to the end of that play.
Yeah, it sure did. So after one play, the War Eagles are inside the Bearcats' 15-yard line. So you go from the negative 18 to the positive 14 on this play. And the War Eagles are in business. Early stages of the third quarter, first drive for the War Eagles in this half. Keller remains in the backfield, about a step or 2 behind Eo. And another flag. False start again. And, you know, Joe, we learned once again from the live chat that this is usually on the quarterback and the cadence and the count.
Yeah, you know, it's really hard being the wide receiver in that situation because once you're in motion, you can't just come to a stop. You can't just slow down midway through your motion. Otherwise, it defeats the entire purpose of that pre-snap motion. But ultimately, it's on the offensive unit. You have to get this figured out. And to the defense of Maryland, it's not just the War Eagles that have had a problem with this. It's been every team that we've covered this year. We've seen a few of these each game.
But on a team starved for points, this is the third or fourth time they've started a drive, 1st and 15. And then in the low zone there, Butcher sees it go off his chest. That is a drop. It would have gained them about 5 yards ahead of the original line of scrimmage, and it'll be 2nd and 15.
Well, not only have we seen the pre-snap penalties hurt Maryland in this game, they've been hurt by drops, and they've been some bad ones. We saw that drop there. They had one in the end zone that's hard to call a drop. It looked like perhaps Turner got in and broke it up, but there was definitely a chance there. The misfire on the first drive and a couple more drops over the middle, one that almost turned into a pick. So a lot of plays that were nearly huge completions for Maryland have gone incomplete. Drops have been a part of that.
Yeah, for sure. A little bit of hurting themselves mixed in with a pretty sound defensive performance from the Bearcats. We hit the 11-minute mark here at 2nd down and 15. Trips on the right side. They look in the flat, and that one's too elevated in the direction of Daniel Thomas. It'll be 3rd and goal. 3rd and 15. Sorry.
Eo winds up on the turf again. And early in the game, despite the Bearcats' pressure, he was able to make these throws. That pressure and the amount of times he's been hit, it's really beginning to add up. The throws have been a bit more rushed. The receivers haven't helped him with the drops, and that one ended up a bit high. This Jersey Bearcats defensive front, and at times even a 4-man rush where they've sent the blitz from the linebacker spot, it's really beginning to impact this War Eagles offense. In fact, I think it's more than beginning to impact them. It's impacted them now for the last full quarter and then some.
They'll need a big play here. 3rd down and 15. Two in motion. They bring in 4 to the Bearcats. They look in the end zone and through some traffic, touchdown, Olds.
They brought the blitz again, Dave, and an incredible throw and catch gets Maryland on the board. Olds came down with it between 3 Jersey defenders, took a big hit midair, held on, Tremendous throw by the quarterback, Eo, and Olds does a great job to hold on. Here's another look at it. And once again, you see the pressure coming. They picked it up really well. And I'm not sure what was more impressive, that throw or that catch.
Yeah, just to continue to hold that through the process of going down. Olds with a terrific job, and there's only one place to put that where that could be caught, and Eo dropped it in. Extra point, it's a big one, and it's up and through. It's 12-7 and a 5-point game. And just like that, the Eagles backs up against the wall, need a response, get one.
We said it during the pregame, Dave. The Bearcats were looking for 4 strong quarters. It took an incredible throw and catch to put points on the board for Maryland there, but they make it happen. As you said, the extra point, the big one. Jersey 0 for 2 on extra points tonight. That's something to keep in mind moving forward in this game. But given what we saw from Jersey's defense in the first half, that drive is a statement and perhaps even a bit surprising because the Bearcats' defense down around the end zone has been phenomenal. That being said, they were backed up a bit further from the end zone. It gives you the chance to make that downfield throw. I say it all the time. I think more often than not, it helps you. I think it certainly helped Maryland right there. They're right back in this game, and to their credit, unfazed by the 0 on the scoreboard in the first half. They put up 7 to start the third quarter.
Yeah, one of the things that you like to say, Joe, is you can always tell the kind of quarterback you have by how they throw the ball under pressure, and Eo has been pretty good in that department, and that was another example there. Did have a pocket to step into that time, but again, the heat has been on all game long, and that was an absolute dime.
They picked up that blitz pretty well.
This one skips off the turf at about the Bearcats' 20, end over end at the goal line, and it will be Reed. Reed scampering and 180ing off of one tackler and gets it to about the 20-yard line, so the Bearcats will take over with 8:55 remaining in the third.
If you're giving up no more than an extra 5 yards or so, I think you might want to kick it away from him. He is a dynamic returner. We saw what he can do in the pass-catching game as well when we covered this team a couple of weeks ago. He's definitely a player to keep your eye on moving forward for the Bearcats, a late addition to the team late in the season. And he's made an impact quickly in very limited touches, mostly as a return man. But put the ball in his hands, good things can happen.
Programming note for those of you at home and who are watching live, obviously our Wi-Fi has prevented us from broadcasting in 1080p tonight, so we're going in 720 to get you as close to a seamless broadcast as possible. But at the conclusion of tonight's game, we will be uploading a full HD copy of our broadcast here, so something to look forward to later in the evening or tomorrow as a cleaner copy will be coming your way. Bearcats' first drive of the third quarter. Washington was in motion, but it is the pitch out to Adams. Adams shrugs off one tackler, but can't gain the line of scrimmage back as he is upended by Frankie Snead right at the line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
All night long, this Maryland defense has been really good containing the running back at the line of scrimmage. There was one play earlier in the game where the back was able to break away, but that's it. On most running plays, Maryland has been able to keep the ball carrier in front of them, keep the ball carrier contained either between the tackles or behind the line of scrimmage. When they force the ball carrier to bounce it outside, or on a play like that where the ball carrier has tossed the football, they have not given up a step. And it's been tough running the ball for Jersey so far in this game.
It has. Not a lot of room there, especially off tackle in this game. Now a little bit of confusion at the line of scrimmage, and the Bearcats going to want to talk this over via a timeout. So, Joe, while we have a timeout, let's remind our fans about the coverage of the Vetera Liga that we have been covering. We'll have a graphic for you in just a moment here, the game of the week in the Vetera Liga. Next sees us a week from Sunday. On Sunday, June 29th, 1:30 p.m., we go from Tampere, Finland, to see the Tampere Saints taking on the East City Giants, the Vetera Liga, the top American football league in the country of Finland.
It's been a blast covering the Vetera Liga so far this year. We had a championship rematch in Week 1. We got our first look at the Saints in Week 2. And now we have a Division 1 championship rematch in Week 3. For those unfamiliar, the Vetera Liga, the NFL of Finland, Division 1, just a step below that. Both the Giants and the Saints promoted from Division 1 last year. They face off in Week 3.
We resume live action. The fake pitch to Adams. That ball stripped off of Rodriguez. He's able to pick it back up, reach for the first down, and is just short. That was a nice defensive play to strip that ball away from Rodriguez, but Rodriguez heads up, had a lot of green in front of him. He was going to look to run that regardless, Joe, and he was able to get almost the first down.
Well, we have a couple of quarterbacks in this game that can make big plays with their legs, and if you allow either of these two signal callers to get to the open field, that's trouble. You could see there the fake toss, and a nice job to strip the football away, because if Rodriguez steps up through that pocket untouched, that's a really big play, perhaps even a touchdown. And once again, just one drive took up over half the quarter. We're approaching the 6-minute mark here in the third.
Rodriguez did, I believe, have a rushing touchdown against the War Eagles when we covered them earlier this season. These two teams here in Jersey, and this is a designed run. Gains the 15, the 10, reaching towards the pylon, and he's just short. He'll be knocked out of bounds at about the 2 or 3.
Well, that is definitely going to keep this Maryland defense honest, and they are not going to waste any time getting back to the line of scrimmage, though they have to set up the padding again, so they'll be forced to wait.
Sure, design run from the jump right there. You see it on your screen. Look at that nice lead block by Adams as well, as he was able to bring down Keon Singleton, who's been a force defensively. 1st and goal from the 2. Another design run up the middle, reaching across the goal line. Touchdown, Rodriguez.
And that is some answer from this Bearcats offense. They haven't had much in the running game, handing it off to the back. Well, Rodriguez was able to make things happen as the quarterback on that drive. He keeps it twice, and he scores as the Bearcats have pushed their lead back to 11, chance to make it 12 with the extra point.
Yeah, Rodriguez has that added dimension. We mention his speed all the time, but his ability to drop the shoulder and plow ahead, he's not shy about mixing it up in the interior of that offensive line. That time he goes right behind center, and the A-gap run for the touchdown makes it 18-7, and Cardoza looking to go 1 of 3 here on extra points. Snap is high, but taken down. Once again, it's off the top, no good, as that hit the bottom of the uprights as well. And so the Bearcats go 0 for 3 on extra points, but they do have an 11-point lead.
Well, that miss does matter because Maryland has shown a willingness to kick field goals in this game. And if they end up in a position where they need to kick one, trailing by 11, you make it a one-score game. Though I don't think you kick it. Even in an 11-point game, if you're close to the end zone, 4th down, I think you go. Personally, I go, but we'll see. I think there's definitely an opportunity. They might think about kicking it. As we have a break in the action, let's hear about our third quarter sponsor.
All right, while the Lady Bearcats take the field and we get ready for another giveaway, we'll have some prospective champions joining the field looking to win a prize, and champions deserve championship rings. And Zolnir Championship Rings are the official ring provider of the Jersey Bearcats and the AAL2. See the incredible selection and touch of class at Zolnir. Visit us at zchampionship.rings.com and see our competitive pricing, exceptional customer service, and free quotes always. Zolnir Championship Rings. Give Director of Sales Joseph Khalil a call at 1-800-303-8548. Zolnir is the official ring provider of the Jersey Bearcats and the AAL2. And Joe, I know you know how to do this. It's the chicken dance.
Now, what would make you say that I know how to do this?
Well, everybody knows the chicken dance.
Yeah, that doesn't mean I'm proficient at moving like that.
If I didn't know any better, if I was Pat Gianlorenzo, I'd turn that camera around and watch Joe Foreman do the chicken dance. But I think Pat likes his job at the College of Staten Island too much.
I think he does. If he wants a seat at the table, he better keep the camera right where it is. That camera's spinning.
Well, I'll tell you what. The chicken dance.
If there's one thing that I can guarantee you that nobody in this world has ever seen, it's Joe Foreman dancing.
Wow.
The closest I've come is a seated dance. I'm not going to say what spurred it, but Nick knows. It looked a little bit like this.
Oh, okay. Looks like
Johnny
Manziel, the cash sign.
Yeah. Well, you just gave me away.
Well, the chicken dance was sponsored by Zolnir Championship Rings, and we thank them for everything that they do and no matter who wins that championship, Zolnir Rings will be there to provide and outfit the championship rings, and the Bearcats are hoping for their second set of rings in 3 years. The Maryland War Eagles have been a part of the AAL2 all 3 seasons, although this is a combination team between the former Maryland Warriors and the former Maryland Eagles. They combined to make the War Eagles.
Now, if the Bearcats win another ring as third-year broadcast team, do we get one?
Ooh, that's a good question. Here's the return, and a lane and into Bearcats territory. Another good return by Daniel Thomas.
We've seen some good things from the returners tonight, and at times it's been under unfavorable circumstances. A lot of bad bounces going against the War Eagles on returns. They've had to play some funky hops off the turf on kick returns, but they've made the most of it, and I think it really is important in this spot that you come away with points, obviously, but the return itself important to put Maryland in plus territory to start this drive as the clock continues to wind down inside of 4 minutes.
So they are at the Bearcats' 23-yard line to start their second drive of the second half. There are 3:45 and counting remaining here in the third. Not late enough yet, but of course time working against you when you're down by a couple of scores. Butcher thought about lining up on the left, rethinks himself, lines up in the slot on the right. 2 in motion. Snap is off. 4 coming in. The drop off underneath. Short tackle made by LeGrand on Jones. Couple yards shy of the first down.
If EO is going to complete passes, he is going to have to do it under pressure. Got that ball out in time. His receiver sitting down in the opening, making the catch. But the Bearcats have brought the heat throughout this game. They have stayed true to that game plan since the opening quarter, and they are making the War Eagles earn every inch out there. Their quarterback taking a lot of punishment tonight.
Yeah, and you will see it almost routinely on your screen that there is that fourth guy coming in on just about every short passing play. Most of the time, it is the newcomer, number 13, Darren Hungerford. We've seen Keemon Coleman come in at times too, although I don't believe Coleman's in the game right now. The shovel once again and the pitch to Butcher. Butcher gets stood up at about the 15 and more flags after the play. Now, the Bearcats were claiming that they got the football, Joe. And not sure what, of course, happened there on the sideline as we get obscured by the bench and the tough angles here. But looks like the ball's going to be spotted just outside the 15 at the 16. So we're looking at about a 3rd and 3 coming up.
You know, I'm always...
and a personal foul by the War Eagles.
I'm always brainstorming and thinking about creative play calls. If Butcher could throw the football, Dave, the amount of attention they paid him on that toss, I think they could sneak one of the receivers off the block and into the end zone.
Fair.
At some point.
Well, we know that the Bearcats, one of their trademarks or their calling cards is getting...
Player just got ejected, Dave.
Yeah, it's the second personal foul. And I'm anxious to see who comes out here and who has to head into the locker room, because that could be a big deal. And is it Butcher? No, it's not. It's 29. Defensive lineman.
That's Daniel McManus.
And fullback Daniel McManus. So he's gone. His night is over. And, Joe, instead of a 3rd and 3, now we have a 2nd and 13. And so this
the clock is still running, Dave.
It's still running.
We're down to almost a minute.
A minute left in the third. And this has been one of the recurring themes of this Maryland team. They enter Bearcats territory, and they immediately go backwards, whether it's a 5-yard, pre-snap penalty or one of these. They have really amassed a lot of penalty yardage on offense when they are on the Bearcats side of the field. 2nd down and long. Pressure upcoming, and a good coverage there by Pusey, knocking into the back of Olds, breaking that one up, 3rd and long.
And we've seen that more than once tonight. There we saw it from Pusey. Perfect timing by these Bearcats defensive backs, getting to the receiver and not contacting them too early, being able to get a hand on the football. They've really done a great job driving on those underneath routes to break up those pass attempts.
So 3rd down and long, and something that EO has not had tonight has been time in the pocket. And this is one of those plays he might need 2-3 seconds back there to find something at the first down marker. We'll see what the Bearcats have to offer defensively as we have Whistles again right at the line of scrimmage, and we'll see. It's going to be offside on the defense here on what was the final play. So the Bearcats give 5 yards back, but I think they're going to switch fields here, and we're going to start the fourth quarter with the War Eagles down by a couple scores. They haven't moved sides yet, and I believe now they're going to their respective sidelines.
Do you feel like it's now or never?
You know, I have to believe that, just the way that the speed at which this game is moving. And, you know, the Bearcats have also, you know, with the exception of right before the half, I think, they're 3 for their last 3 in offensive drives. So they're starting to put up the points here and starting to feel pretty good about what they're doing offensively. So if you're the War Eagles, you need a response. So they will indeed switch the field. And we have 15 precious minutes left for the Maryland War Eagles.
Well, if you're Maryland here, you know that you have 4 downs to get this. You also know that you don't have to have a touchdown. You can settle for the field goal. I think the only situation where you try it is a situation similar to where you found yourself before, where you know that you're going to have to hit a huge pass and you take a shot at it and hope you don't hit the ceiling. But that's really a shot in the dark. It is so tough to kick from far out without hitting the netting. It's almost not worth a try. At that point, just heave it downfield.
Yeah, you got to watch EO taking off here as well. They need to get the chain gang situated here, or are they moving them back? This is kind of odd, Joe, here, because now the markers are back, and maybe this is the final play of the third, because there was a penalty there. And
one on time down, perhaps?
Perhaps, yeah. Yeah, so they are telling the timekeeper to keep the clock timeout.
It's an untimed down.
Untimed down, right. And it'll be 3rd and 8 after the penalty on the Bearcats. Underneath, a couple of helmets collide at the line of scrimmage. Incomplete. It'll be 4th down and 8 when we start the fourth quarter.
So they're in about that spot again. I think you just go for it. I think it's just too difficult to kick.
Yeah, I think from this distance,
I think they will.
You know, and you really got to hit a line drive screamer to not hit one off the top of the netting.
Yeah,
it's
it's almost impossible.
Almost impossible.
But they tried it from here before.
They did.
And I don't think they should try it again.
No, I think they learned their lesson.
You can have a tremendous kicker, very talented kicker, and this is a tough kick.
So the first down marker is at the 13.5-yard line near the 14. And it looks like we are going to have something going on. Maybe the Lady Bearcats are coming out to do a performance.
And they are headed back out.
So we'll have a quick time. Go ahead, Joe.
If you're Maryland here, you only need 7. You don't need a huge play here. And I think Jersey is going to be well aware of that. We've seen time and time again Maryland look to hit that underneath curl route, running the deep shot behind it. The Bearcats have really been all over that underneath route. I think if there's any concept you haven't shown them yet where you run that curl route and put a deeper route behind it, now's the time to go that way. You go that way now, try and hit that. If there's anything you haven't showed them, now's the time.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I also believe they'll probably leave Butcher in for some extra protection on EO, and I think if he doesn't see anything right away, he has to trust in his legs to try and get to that first down marker. He's proved pretty elusive, and when he gets a full head of steam, he's difficult to catch up with.
And another call I wouldn't hate, the Bearcats have been doing a lot of blitzing. If you know that they're probably going to blitz, do you use that against them? Maybe take your halfback and have him lead the way for the quarterback design run?
I think what AJ was telling us at halftime, too, is they allowed him to run too much, and I think that's because they were telegraphing the blitzes, Joe. They were either coming from the right or the left, and when they were coming from the right, EO was recognizing it and taking off to the left. When they were coming in from the left, vice versa. So they have to be really, you know, if they're going to sell out and bring in an extra guy or even 2, you got to make sure you're plugging up the lane so that EO can't step up in the pocket and take off. Because he does have the ability to recognize the blitz. He's shown that already. 4th down and 7. Big play here. Ball's at the 21-yard line of the Bearcats. Two running wide receivers coming in at the top of your screen. Good snap. EO shuffles to his left, and it's off the boards, incomplete. Pass was intended for Butcher right at about the line of scrimmage. He would have had to have made a couple of guys miss as well. The War Eagles turn it over on downs, and the Bearcats will take over.
Getting a look at the replay, I'm curious to see if they wanted to get EO moving here or if he rolled out on his own. It looked like he had an opportunity over the middle, as we're going to have to run that back one more time. It didn't push to our main stream, but let's get one more look at it, Nick. Here we go. Yeah, he moved on his own, and I think if he stands in there just a bit longer over the middle, he had Tyrell Jones wide open. Easy to say that with the amount of pressure he's been under, but I think he had the time on that play.
And it was Coleman coming in on the blitz as well to where EO was bootlegging to. Rodriguez might be looking down the field, opts to go down low. It's incomplete. Pass was at the shoestrings of Todd Simmons, incomplete. If the Bearcats win tonight, then they will host the Eastern Division Championship once again on Friday night next week. The other Eastern semifinal game is going to be played tomorrow between the Steel City Stampede and the New Jersey Roughnecks. The Roughnecks in their first season in the AAL2, the Stampede veterans here of the AAL2, and they're making their third playoff appearance. 2nd and 10 coming up. This time it'll be Ward and Simmons coming in motion. Top of your screen, Ward comes across, the fake to him. Now the low screen to Adams. Adams makes a man miss at the 25. Holds on to the ball with two hands. It gets close to the first down mark. It'll be about a couple of yards shy.
I really like that play call. Well-designed screen pass. They get Ward in motion. That took the attention of the defense and the men in the box, and they throw the screen pass to Adams going the other way. He had a lot of blocking in front of him and ahead of steam. Nice job by the War Eagles to recover defensively and make that tackle short of the sticks. They have to have a stop right now.
Just another layer to this Bearcats offense that they show defenses, the run game, the pass game, the screen game. They play a lot of cards. 3rd down and 2. Rodriguez with 2 in motion, takes it himself. Design run, right side off tackle. Makes one man miss, gets knocked around just shy of the 10-yard line. But that's good enough for Bearcats' first down.
I like the play call again, Dave. They've found something that's working in the ground game, and it's been Rodriguez keeping the football. And since they've gone to that now 4 times on the last 2 drives, the War Eagles really haven't had an answer. And I think this is the biggest adjustment to play calling we've ever seen from the Bearcats. A lot of screens and a lot of these short passes, a lot of quarterback runs, far different from what we're used to seeing.
And, Joe, they've spotted this at exactly the 10, so it is a 1st and goal here for the Bearcats. The give is to Ward. Off tackle, left side, tries to shoulder up a body, can't do it, and is held up just inside the 10. Minimal gain there. Looked like it was number 9 on the tackle, who we also do not have on our roster.
Well, if Jersey can punch it in here, I think they have to be feeling really good about their chances. Very, very unlikely that they surrender a 3-score lead the way their defense is played. They put just the 6 on the board. They go up 17, and that would make it a 3-score game. And we spoke about it during the pregame. Something they have to do, capitalize in the red zone. They have Big Nas Adams in there, hoping to do so right now.
Yeah, the War Eagles, most amount of points they've scored in a game this season was 25 against the Bearcats back on week 6. Fake pitch. Rodriguez wants to tuck it down. Now goes right side. Middle of the field, intercepted. It was thrown into coverage, and sitting in the zone was Joshua Butcher. Turnover for the Bearcats, their 2nd of the game. And the War Eagles are down but not out.
We've spoken about this Jersey red zone defense all night. This time it is the Maryland red zone defense that comes up with the big play in the end zone. Picked off by Butcher. The only thing that I'm thinking about now at the end of this play, and we'll see it, should he have gone down in the end zone? Probably.
Yeah.
I don't think there was any way he was taking that very far. and they'll spot it at the 2.
At the 2, right. So this is dangerous territory. Remember, the Bearcats were able to register a safety against Maryland the last time these two teams played. It was right around this part off of the shotgun snap that went high. At the time, it was Hunter Gruden as the quarterback. He's not here for today's game. But Efeio has done a great job at quarterback here for the War Eagles. Did throw the one interception himself, but he's hoping to lead his team down the field with 9:53 to go in our game's final quarter. And that one is fumbled at the snap, and both teams on top of it. That ball never did get to Io at all. It might have went off the center's leg or something. Hard to describe. And it's a first down the other way. The Bearcats take over at the 1.
Well, we saw this back in week 3, Dave, and I mentioned it during the pregame. There was a 3-play stretch in the fourth quarter where Maryland went backwards, back-to-back-to-back plays, backed up against their own end zone here. It took just one catastrophic play for them to lose possession of the football. This time, it is a muffed snap. I think the center just put it off his own leg. You said it never got to Io. And now the Bearcats, you would think, are going to run behind Chris Rohn again, try and punch it in and put this game away.
And to add insult to injury, the clock was running during that entire time, even though there was a change in possession. So the official is by the timekeeper, and they're probably going to put some more time on the clock because the Bearcats, or the War Eagles, got the ball with about 9:50 left, and they obviously didn't run a play. And it is our fourth quarter official timeout as well. So with that, it's time to start thinking about where we're going to eat after the game, and we know where the lucky winners of this next event are going. It's Applebee's of Linden. They're sponsoring a free dinner for 2 for every Jersey Bearcats home game this season, and with amazing drink specials and delicious food, it's where we all should be headed. Make sure to visit our friends at Applebee's of Linden, located at 671 West Edgar Road in Linden. With eat-in, car-side to-go, and delivery options, we've got the food covered. Visit Applebee's and tell them the Jersey Bearcats sent you. It's time for Kick Like a Bearcat, which is sponsored by Applebee's.
Well, Dave, I mentioned earlier something that I can guarantee nobody's ever seen, and that's Joe Foreman dancing.
Right.
I can guarantee you something that people will never see is Joe Foreman successfully kicking a ball into a net
I think you
or
could do
through
that.
uprights. Now, I'm trying to think if you were the camera operator. Many, many years ago, we were filming video segments over at the College of Staten Island, as we mentioned earlier, where you and I both work, and I tried to kick a penalty kick.
Oh.
And I couldn't even put the ball in the net cleanly from the dot on a soccer pitch. So I don't think I'd have much luck with the uprights.
Well, we'll see what these guys have in store for us. That one's wide left as well. That's tough. It's easy when you're standing there. It looks like, oh, this is simple. I could do this. But that's tough. And listen, Jonathan Cardoza can say that as well. He's 0 for 3 on extra points in this game today. His first action as a Bearcat.
There it is.
Yeah,
now,
one.
When you pump up the crowd, you have to deliver.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, you get the
Can't leave him hanging like that. But always a great time here at Warananko. And, you know, whether the Bearcats make it or not, Joe, Warananko and Roselle is the site of the AAL2 championship game, which is going to be played on Saturday, July 26th. So we know it's quite a way away. It's a little over a month away. But that's a day to circle on your calendars as we get a replay of the winning field goal. That's a nice highlight right there.
Well, if our guest kicker goes and watches that back, he'll be very grateful
Absolutely.
for Nick Pavona's engineering prowess.
So the Bearcats, for the second time in the game, have a 1st and goal at the 1 to start a drive. Adams reaching for the goal line. Are the arms up? Touchdown, Bearcats, and a penalty at the end of it.
And that one might send the Bearcats into the Eastern Division Championship game as we have a group celebration at midfield. How about that? What do you have to say about that, Dave?
And there's some flags that come out at the end of that celebration as well. But, you know, the Bearcats talk about this on their show, Joe, on the Bearcats Blitz, is Coach A.J. Roquet doesn't want his team to lose sight of having a good time. You know, and He doesn't want his team to lose focus of that. They try to have a good time at practice. And when you're winning a game now by 17 points with the extra point forthcoming, you want to have a good time. But look at the stretch here by Adams over the goal line, makes it count, and then immediately half the team reports to the 25-yard line for the dance.
Let's see if we can decipher what this is.
They need to hit Radio City Music Hall.
I thought that Rodriguez was going for the handspring. Karate Kid, Nick says.
Oh.
They did have the karate hands there.
Okay.
I was about to say, if they had been playing Everybody is Kung Fu Fighting at the same time, that would have been a very appropriate song choice. Am I allowed to say that?
I did watch the new Karate Kid movie, Joe.
Oh, yeah?
The girls took me for Father's Day.
Now, did you get to pick the movie?
No, I didn't.
Oh!
I didn't. Well, because we saw a commercial for it, and I saw the original Karate Kid.
Oh, so they thought you were
movie.
enthusiastic.
So I was like, oh, man, it's the Karate Kid. This guy's still around doing Karate Kid movies. I was like, this is like a throwback to my childhood. So they got me tickets to.
That's nice.
They took their old man to the movies. So. And my wife as well.
All right, you're returning the favor. Unfortunately, it's the day of the championship game.
I texted them tonight. I said, PDF Sports at 7:40. Watch the Bearcats game.
That's
I don't know if they took it seriously or not. 24-7 is our score, and a false start on the.
Now, when do they make their debut as sideline reporters?
Well, my daughters, unfortunately, did not inherit my gift of love of sports. So
That's okay.
Yeah. They don't know a football from a basketball, let's put it that
All
way.
right.
But they're excellent swimmers. I will say that. They've elected.
Are we going to see them in the Mets swimming and diving championship?
They elected not to swim in high school, but they were very, very gifted as youth in swimming. I don't know if they'll swim in college, but very, very gifted swimmers, my kids. But I don't think we'll see them on PDF Sportsnet.
Fair enough.
There's a give underneath, making a few people miss, but unfortunately going nowhere was Manny Stewart. The Bearcats 0 for 4 on their extra point attempts or 2-point conversion attempts, and so our score remains 24-7 with 7:22 remaining. And now if you're the War Eagles, you need scores, you need them quickly, and you're going to need a very improbable comeback here to overtake the number 1 seeds.
Well, I know better than to never say never, but Dave, this Bearcats defense tonight has made big play after big play after big play. The lone hiccup on the first drive of the third quarter. In the first half, the Maryland offense was able to sustain drives and move the football, but they just couldn't punch it into the end zone. And I think now, with 7:22 to go, I'm not getting ahead of myself by saying it's probably too late, though I did say that week 1 a couple of years ago, and I had to eat my words. So We'll see what happens.
Well, the Bearcats did turn the ball over a couple of times. They've had some penalties, but one of the things that we said to each other off the air, Joe, was that it's not enough for the Bearcats to win this game. They really have to play a good, solid game of football, too. And, defensively, they've obviously done that, holding the War Eagles to just the 1 score. And, offensively, they did have the 2 turnovers, but they got gifted 2 drives that started at the 1-yard line. And you do what you have to do and score touchdowns in those scenarios, and that's exactly what they did.
So, Dave, have you ever heard of the Nick Cannon movie, Love Don't Cost a Thing?
I have not, no.
That is where that dance is from, according to the live chat.
Okay.
Nick's looking at me, perplexed.
They had to research that, those guys on the field.
They had to choreograph
They had to choreograph it. That's something you work on in practice. And
hopefully not too much.
Well, and somebody had to say the same exact thing to their teammates. Have you ever seen that Nick Cannon movie? And I don't know. A couple of them may have said yes. A few of them may have said no. I'm not sure.
If there's one thing that I'm not well informed on, it's movies, especially old movies. If it came out before I was born, outside of Star Wars, I'm not going to know anything. Oh, Nick has it on his phone now.
Juggled around, finally collected, and wiped out was Frankie Snead right at about the 20-yard line, where the Maryland War Eagles will take over. They've done a couple of good things in this game, have the War Eagles. They've gone down the field a couple of times. They've had a lot of penalties in this game. They got hit for a couple of sacks. But a couple of first and goal situations in the first half and not coming away with points is something they are going to lament for a long time. But, Joe, there's a window still open. It's very, very slim, but the War Eagles have to hurry here. This clock is running, 6:45 and counting.
Yeah, with the clock moving, they're not moving very quickly.
Yeah.
So that's something that I'm picking up on here. But Maryland, as I said, they've moved the ball pretty well throughout this game, and they just haven't been able to turn those drives into points. And you said it. It seems like once they get into Bearcats territory, they've stalled.
Yeah.
And from there, they've typically moved backwards, and they can't afford to move backwards much from here.
And
that would put them in the end zone again.
And they've really hurt themselves, too, with the penalties. And then, of course, that inexplicable turnover at the 1 where they weren't even able to get the snap to the quarterback. That's tough. There's a laser shot down the field, and running stride for stride with Olds was Pusey, who's going to get flagged for the interference.
And the official showing off the arm there. He tossed that flag halfway across the field. And Olds is down, a bit shaken up, not putting any weight on that right leg.
And the only thing Pusey's guilty of here, Joe, is not turning around for the football. But otherwise, it looked like a track meet, just a simple race towards the goal line. And they looked like it was a dead heat. We'll see it. And, yeah, it looked like Olds might have held up at the very end. And that's what forced Pusey to run kind of right into his route. So the Eagles were backed up inside their own 10 because of the penalties that happened after the touchdown. They were assessed at the end of that kickoff run, and now they're going to get some yardage back and an automatic first down. And they have stopped the clock, too, although we usually don't see that on penalty calls.
We haven't seen it much at all tonight.
No.
For much of this game, the clock has been running. I've seen the clock run more in this game than I've ever recalled seeing the clock run.
Yeah. Well, the ball's going to be spotted inside of Bearcats territory yet again. That's definitely something the War Eagles cannot complain about. They've had good field position throughout the game. They've been able to move the ball, as you said, Joe. But their inability to finish drives has really hurt them. And now they're backing up the ball a little bit, so they're a little bit confused as to where to spot this. The original line of scrimmage was the 8. And now they're putting it at the 20, so that amounts to a 12-yard penalty. And 1st and 10 from here. Clock begins moving again, 5:30 and counting. Eo with the rush coming in, the drop-off in the flat is caught by Butcher. Price holding on for dear life, has to wait for reinforcements, and finally Butcher down just inside midfield.
Great effort there by Butcher, and Eo put a lot of faith in him. He got that ball out the last possible moment. The pressure was closing in. He gets the ball out, short completion, but Butcher was able to turn that into a gain of about 4.
Can't take anything away from Eo in this game. He has not had time. He's usually had to fire in on his first read. And it takes guts to stand in the pocket and absorb some of the hits that you know are coming at the end of some of these throws. He's played well. 2 in motion here on 2nd down and 6. The throw, middle of the field, underthrown, intercepted. There is a flag down. It looked like LeGrand came up with it. The Bearcats will have the ball inside their own 5 if this play stands.
I think it is going to stand. I thought they called that against the offense.
And now there's a big congregation here, and it's going to be Bearcats football.
Yeah, I think that's the right call.
We'll get another look at it here while we get the official signal. But the Bearcats going to take over on the 3rd turnover of the game. And, yeah, it looked like LeGrand was playing it, and grabbing the torso was Thomas of LeGrand. So they'll decline the penalty. The Bearcats will have it 1st and 10, and with 4:15 to go, a chance to salt away the final minutes.
That's just an example of giving your guy a shot. It's late in the game. You need points. And Eo did what he had to do there, throwing that ball up, pocket collapsing all around him. And he had to get it out of his hand. It finds LeGrand, and that should wrap this one up, Dave, with 4:15 to go.
And, Joe, it's hard not to give the game ball to the entire Bearcats defense, but as far as a player of the game, if this obviously score holds, who you give it to on that defense? They've all been superb.
That's a tough call. Pusey had the interception. He's had a couple of pass breakups. I think LeGrand's also had a couple of pass breakups and an interception.
Well, we're gonna get Nick Bavone at the end of the game to grab our player of the game. So maybe we'll make him choose.
What we need to do, and we don't have official stats, but I would give it to the player with the most quarterback pressures because I think that's where the difference has been made.
Joe, the War Eagles have the ball.
Okay.
And it's second down and like 16.
But they backed them up.
They backed them up.
What happened?
I have no idea. Down the field, that one is underthrown in the direction of Thomas. It'll be third down and 16. So I have no idea what the result of that was. Unless it was if it was a holding call that backs you up 10 yards, that doesn't make much sense.
They must have called.
Oh, I know what they called, Joe. It was an incomplete on the interception. It was an incomplete pass.
All right.
And the 10-yard penalty was then assessed. And we're going to get another chance to see it here. See if it hits the carpet at any point. It's hard. We get trapped, and the stanchion was blocking our ability to see the ball. But, yeah, that was it. But the War Eagles get the door left open again for them here now.
Slightly ajar.
Yeah, there's 3:15
the clock
remaining.
is still running. Open's a strong word. They have to move quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. And they've been looking for that one-play touchdown here. They might go back to the deep ball again. Bearcats bring in the fourth man. It's Hungerford. They work it in the low flat to Butcher. Butcher makes one man miss, gets back to the original line of scrimmage and then some, but it'll be about a 4th down and 7 coming up.
Makes it 4th and manageable. You give yourself a chance. You still have to work quickly. Maryland getting to the line of scrimmage without a huddle anyway, but clock ticking now as we approach 2:40 to go.
So this is it for the War Eagles. They're hanging by a thread, and we'll see if they can continue this drive. Their one touchdown was scored in the third quarter. Down by 17. They go for the home run, the touchdown in the end zone, touchdown! Having to back up and track it was Thomas. That time he did it, falling away into the end zone, and it's 24-13 with 2:16 remaining.
The door was slightly ajar about 30 seconds ago. It opens a bit more with that completion, but the clock is still running as we approach 2 minutes to go.
It should. It stops at the end of the point after, so they need to hurry up and get this point after to get the clock stopped. And then I'm assuming they'll try an onside kick. They do have all 3 of their timeouts remaining, I believe, or maybe they did use one. I'm not quite sure. According to our count, they do have all 3 left. Fairly important extra point here for McCoy. DeCamp. He's 1 for 1 on these and rips that one no good as it went wide left. So the score remained 24-13, and it's an 11-point game. The clock is stopped with 1:29 remaining. And so if you're the War Eagles here, you have to, I think, take a chance and onside kick this one, Joe. I don't know if you can afford.
No doubt.
Unless they plan to kick it off and use their 3 timeouts, one after the other, and try to get Jersey on a 3 and out. But that has proved problematic for them as well.
If you're Maryland, you have to get either an onside recovery or a turnover. If you're Jersey, all you have to do is move the ball forward.
Yep. And the Bearcats, with the exception of their turnovers, have scored on every drive that they've had their last 4 drives. They did have the interception in between in this second half, but otherwise they've been able to move the ball down the field and score. So if you're the War Eagles, Joe, I don't think you want to see your defense out there at all for the rest of this game. You got to try your hand at kicking this one short and getting bodies.
You have 3 timeouts, so you may see them once more. But even then, you're not doing that by design. You're hoping to recover the onside.
Yep.
But you'd have to get 2 to keep your defense off the rest of the way. It's going to be a tough road back, but as I said before, we know better than to say it's over before it's over.
Absolutely not.
And with 1:29 to go, Maryland is probably going to need multiple onside kick recoveries. And if not that, they will need at least one.
We have learned at PDF that as long as there is time left on the clock, anything can happen, and it has. Now, they're not switching sides. They're getting ready for the kickoff here. The War Eagles did spend some time discussing this at their sideline, so we'll see what they have in store for us.
What exactly does an onside look like in arena?
It has to go 10 yards. And it's a fair game. It's a live ball, no matter how far it goes.
Is it the same where they can't move until there's a rule in the NFL in terms of when the players can move?
You can't move until the ball is struck, and you cannot. If you're the kicking team, you cannot touch the ball unless it's past the 10 yards.
Yeah.
If you're the Bearcats,
much I knew.
If you're the Bearcats, you could play it quicker than the 10 yards, or trap it. But once they touch it, then it's fair game. And you can see the Bearcats, 4 guys at the 10, 2 guys about 6 yards behind them. The camp counting down the paces. 1:29 remaining in the fourth. Bearcats up by 11. It's going to be short. It's not going to travel the requisite 10 yards, and the Bearcats do get on top of it, and they will have it first and goal at the 5. And that's just a poor kick by the camp.
I'm not sure why the Bearcats touched it, Dave. Why would they touch it?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. They didn't need to.
That ball was rolling in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
And they gave them a chance. I think they touched it before DeCamp ever made contact with the ball.
Yeah,
because he nearly touched it himself.
Yeah, DeCamp was hovering over it.
Oh, Maryland touched it first.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, that's why Jersey dove on top.
The ball should have been downed, I believe, if they touched it.
That should have been a penalty.
Now, with the clock running on that kickoff, we do have the 1-minute warning. And from here, the Bearcats cannot take a knee. If they take a knee, the clock stops. So you have to try to advance the ball. And then the War Eagles can use their timeouts if they choose. I believe they will.
All Jersey has to do is move the ball forward.
Just move the ball forward, yep. And they do have Chris Rohn in there. The usual defensive lineman is in there at fullback. And Nas Adams, with the single 9 on his jersey, is behind him. Rodriguez will work out of the shotgun, and we have a timeout by the War Eagles while the clock was stopped, Joe. So that's a little bit dubious of a call.
Well, you couldn't afford that. I don't see any scenario where you can afford to burn one of your timeouts there. Now you've put yourself in a position where you have to force the Bearcats offense backwards.
So they do want to get some clarity here because the clock was running during that onside kick. And, you know, if that ball was downed by the Eagles, then no time really should have come off because nobody really, you can't start the clock until somebody touches it.
The ball was illegally touched. The play should have been blown dead.
Right, but if that's the case, then no time should have come off the clock.
Correct.
Because the clock doesn't start until.
But they didn't rule it illegal touching.
Right. Yeah, that's true. 24-13 is our score. The Bearcats a minute away from securing their spot in the Eastern Division Championship. And next week, if they hold on, they will host either the Stampede or the Jersey Roughnecks. That game is going to be played tomorrow, so I'm sure.
Where's that game played?
In New Jersey, Joe, in South Jersey.
Streaming?
I don't believe they do, no.
Why aren't we there?
That was where the Bearcats had their first game. Nas Adams puts his head down, gets close to the goal line, but is stopped short, about the 1. The War Eagles can stop the clock if they choose to, but they are not at this time. They have 2 timeouts left. And they are going to hurry up, will the Bearcats? Bearcats want those points, Joe.
They always do. Was there ever a doubt?
Never a doubt.
Never a doubt. That's right.
Taking it himself is Rodriguez, straight ahead. Does he gain the goal line? He sure does. Touchdown, Rodriguez. His second rushing touchdown of the evening. 26.1 left. Put a cap on this one. It's 30-13 in favor of the Bearcats.
And that will put an exclamation point on this Bearcats victory. And in the second half, Dave, it appears they really found something running the football with Rodriguez. We knew he was a capable runner and that he can extend plays with his legs. But in terms of designing runs for him and coming out in the second half, making that adjustment and incorporating that into the game plan, I think the coaching staff, A.J. Roquet, and these offensive play callers deserve a ton of credit for that, because it's not something that we've seen too often throughout the season. We've seen it, but not like this. It was a focal point in the second half, and it really worked well for them. They deserve the credit for making that adjustment.
Yeah, you know, people don't correlate run games with arena football, but when it's there, and it can really help your team. And, you know, we said it, Joe, to each other. We went to break at the end of the first quarter. We had a commercial break, and we said it to one another. We said they got to start running the football, because when you're able to run the football, you soften up that defensive front. You give them more things that they have to think about. It freezes the defensive backs in place. It makes your linebackers play a different way, and it just opens up so much else to your offense, and we saw that.
Thinking back on this game, I was trying to rack my brain for it. Jersey's biggest offensive play of the night. Did they hit a deep ball? I think they hit one, right? They might not have.
I'm trying to think who it was. I don't think they did.
I can't recall.
Washington had a nice catch at one point.
In the air, have they hit a pass of more than 15 yards?
I'm not sure. They had one on the sideline here where he extended, but I don't know if that was 15 yards.
I don't know if they've hit one in the air for more than 15, and I can't remember the last Bearcats game we called, but that was the case.
Yeah, you're probably right, but we say it all the time about the Bearcats. They beat you in a lot of different ways, and
I think they hit one. I think they hit one.
18 points in this second half. I mean, the negative mark is that they're 0 for 5 on their conversions today, and you think next week that's going to be a big factor in a game against either the Stampede or the Roughnecks. And if you ask anybody on the Roughnecks, Joe, they are salivating to play the Bearcats again for a third time. I mean, this was a team that made all sorts of mistakes in week one. Otherwise, that was a 26-26 game in the fourth quarter. The Bearcats ended up scoring twice. This ball goes all the way back to the goal line, finally collected by Bowman, and Bowman is tripped up inside of the own 10 with helmets coming off. But, Joe, in the second game against the Roughnecks, the Bearcats were actually down 29-28 with less than a minute left, and they needed some last-second heroics to pull that one off. So the Roughnecks left the field, and they said it on AAL2 Turf Talk. They definitely want the Bearcats a third time. Now, they're going to have to get through the Stampede tomorrow, but that should be a colossal game next week.
Definitely looking forward to it, because I have not covered a game where those two teams have faced off. Yeah. I was not with you in week one, and once again, I missed the second meeting. And that game that they played against the Roughnecks here at Waranenko is now, players have gone down to a knee on the field, and it appears as if we had a serious injury on what is likely to be the game's second to last play.
Yeah, 17.2 left, and somebody lost their helmet and all that, so you hope that there wasn't any contact with the head once the helmet came off with that young man. I don't think so, though, because down on the field,
it's
Joe,
Javon Taylor.
is Javon Taylor. He was not the one who lost his helmet. That was a War Eagles helmet that got dislodged. So he's okay. He's gotten up under his own power, so that's a good sign.
But going back to that game that I missed, it's the first Bearcats home game that I've missed in 3 seasons of covering the Jersey Bearcats, and I'm really looking forward to that matchup, or potential matchup, I should say, next week. Now, looking at the other potential matchup in the Stampede, they came in shorthanded last time they faced the Bearcats late in the season, and they put up a fight in that game.
They did.
They bring a full assortment of players, and you never know what could happen. That's a team that faced off against Jersey for the AAL2 championship a couple of years ago. Bearcats took the win in that game on the road.
Yeah, the Bearcats do not know a postseason without facing the Stampede. They played them last year as well in the quarterfinal round, won 40-0 before losing to the Wheeling Miners in the semifinals in their bid to repeat as champions last year. 17 seconds left. They go once again, the dart down the field, that one thrown in traffic. Price with good coverage on the intended receiver, Glenn Keller.
I would be shocked if the Bearcats allow a completion down the field here.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I would be stunned. I can't think of flabbergasted. What other words you got? I'd be very, very surprised.
Yeah. Trying to think about, have the Bearcats played in any one-score games other than the Roughnecks game, the second game? I don't think so. I think they've beaten every team by 2 or 3 scores. And, they've done so, sometimes quietly and sometimes emphatically. This was more of a quiet 3-score win. But defensively, they were sound all game. There's a good open field tackle by Name Archer on Bowman. Gain of only a few, and that'll do it. The final gun, the Bearcats make a 12-0 halftime lead, hold up. They win this one 30-13 and punch their ticket to the Eastern Division Championship next week, 8 o'clock, right here at Waranenko. So, Joe, we have to think of a defense player of the game. Should we give it to Nick Bavona and let him choose?
Nick is looking at me. He's shaking his head. As I said before, we don't keep track of quarterback pressures.
No.
So we don't know who it is that applied that pressure. So I think it has to be Tariq Pusey.
All right. So, Nick, if you could go down and grab number 22, Tariq Pusey, for us, we'll take care of this, and we'll get him on the So we'll wait for the handshakes, of course. And next week, the stage is set. The Bearcats will host either the New Jersey Roughnecks or the Steel City Stampede. That game played tomorrow. And the Bearcats will figure out who they're playing next week. But once again, please note the special game day, which is Friday, not the usual Saturdays, and the special game time, 8 o'clock. Just like this week, only 1 week from now, Friday, June 27th, the Bearcats will host the Roughnecks or the Stampede at 8 o'clock right here. Joe, they were favored in this game, and they made it hold up.
They sure did, and I think this is one of the more complete four-quarter efforts we've seen. I think that last score by the Miners on that fourth down really skewed the optics of the final score a bit, but the Bearcats in this game were in firm control for much of it. I think early on, the War Eagles did a lot well and definitely had some Jersey fans nervous and definitely had them questioning things a bit with that score early in the third quarter, but the Bearcats did what I think many expected them to do beyond that opening drive of the third quarter, really ran away with this game.
All right, so Tariq Pusey is going to join us. Tariq, can you hear us all right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How we doing?
Good, good. Now, Tariq, Joe and I were mentioning that you really got to give the game ball to the entire defense, but we chose you because you had that big interception, really got the turnover started. Tell me about what you saw on that play.
Hey, I just knew they was trying to get the ball to their playmakers. Number 5 was their playmaker, and I saw the play developing. I saw the wheel about to develop, so we were actually in man, and I jumped off of my man and jumped the wheel route and did what I had to do. But you were right. The defense definitely balled out all game, and we did what we had to do.
How much of it was in your mind the last time you guys played these guys and they beat you for your only loss?
A lot of it. A lot of it. For the most part, that was all that was on our minds, you know. Coming into this game, I was grateful that they beat us last time we played them because it allowed us to come into this game with a chip on our shoulders and not just being the number 1 seed, but the number 1 seed with a loss, and the loss coming from them. So I'm glad we came in like that.
As the game went on in the secondary, you and your teammates were getting closer and closer to those receivers, timing those jumps on passes. What did you see out there that made that possible?
Honestly, our D-line did what they had to do. They tightened up, and they just made the jobs a lot easier for us. And when the D-line is doing what they got to do and the quarterback is scrambling around trying to find somebody to throw the ball to, it just makes it that much easier for us DBs.
So, Tariq, you got either the Roughnecks or the Stampede coming into your house next week. Any special matchups you're looking forward to? Anybody that you want to play next week?
It doesn't even matter. Just line them up and we'll knock them down, you know. We're just looking forward to the next fight and just ready to rock, try and get a chip.
Tariq, congratulations on a great game. Go enjoy the win.
Thank you very much, fellas. You guys have a good night.
You too.
Thank you.
All right, Tariq Pusey, well-deserved player of the game for us, Joe, and really, like we mentioned, belongs to the entire defense. But it's time for the most anticipated post-game wrap-up show in the AAL2 and beyond. It's time for the Coach K wrap-up show. We're waiting for our graphic to come on. Now it's up there. Corey, tell us a little bit about the game itself. 0-0 going into the second quarter, but the defense really stepped up today in a big way.
I mean, we had a few guys that really stepped up today, and it just came down to, can we execute and play Bearcat football? Honestly, like, you guys saw when we execute and play Bearcat football, there's not really anyone that can touch us. And we came out, we were flat. That's part to do with some of us as coaches getting these guys amped up, ready to play. I always say if you need a Red Bull on game day, you need to get a new team. So, yeah.
And, Coach, the last couple of post-game shows, you told us that there's some things you still got to clean up and things like that. Do you feel like this was a cleaner game for you guys?
Yeah, once we got everything clicking, for the most part, there were a few plays that, we could execute a little bit better, but with some time and practice, it'll end up working out.
Potential matchups with the Roughnecks and the Stampede next week. What's your message to the team going into that matchup?
Hey, they got to come up and see us, and that's never easy. You know what I'm saying? When we're clicking, and I wish them the best of luck because they're going to need it.
On the Coach K wrap-up show, Coach K always gets the last word. What do you got, Corey?
Well, it's one of those things, like, we cleaned up special teams pretty well, minus the PATs. Got John back. That was one hell of a signing. He's a good dude. Overall, even better kicker, better person. I love having him on the team, positive energy, stuff like that. And we just got to get to practice on Tuesday and clean up one or two things on the PAT. He's so used to kicking and wheeling now with those, 750 feet tall ceilings. So he'll make the adjustments. I have all the faith in the world for him. So.
Excellent. Well, Coach, great win tonight. We look forward to seeing you guys again here next week.
Arabella Lynn, if you're watching, it's time for bed.
Awesome. Love that line to close us out, Joe, because it's time for bed for us, too. Let's close this one down, Joe. Let's talk about final thoughts about this big victory.
Well, I think if you're the Bearcats, you have to be thrilled with how your defense played. And before we talk more about that, I think we have another guest.
Yeah, listen. AJ, you never have to ask us to come on. You own the team. You own the league. When you want the headset, you get it. But seriously, this was a nice team effort for you guys today. Just talking to Corey about, cleaning up some of the mistakes of the regular season as well. Do you feel this was a good complimentary football game for you guys?
Yes, defense got us the ball back short field, and we punched it in, right? We played big boy football, right? Don't play around, just go in our heavy formation, get our big boys and pound it in.
Coach, tell us a little bit about the complexion of the game, what you told your guys at halftime. You guys were only up by a couple scores, 12-0. It was still a game. They come out, first drive, score 7 points. Your team was up against it, needed a response. Tell me about that response that you got from your team.
We told them, come out with the energy, right? They came out. We expected them to come out and punt and score, right? Try to score. But it's how we responded after that, right? Mm-hmm. And our defense continued to apply pressure. And given a short field, you can't ask for anything better. I think 4 rushing touchdowns today? Yeah. I mean, no playing around. Heavy formation. Pound the rock.
I love when Roan is in that backfield.
Yes.
And that leads into my question. At halftime and going into the third quarter, the team really began to pound the rock a bit more, especially with Mateo keeping it. Was that an adjustment you made at halftime, or was that part of the game plan coming in?
No, it was an adjustment because, right, he's leaving. They left one linebacker in the box. Right? Now, with our quarterback running out, that becomes 5-on-4. We got the advantage. So that now is our lead block. Quarterback's running. Now we're free into the secondary.
Excellent. Coach, next week you get either the Stampede coming back here or the Roughnecks. We don't want to put anything up on a bulletin board for those guys, but is there any specific matchup you're looking forward to next week?
No, either one. I think it's going to be a really good matchup because I know Steel City went and got some guys that – can play the arena game.
Absolutely.
So, I expect that game to be a pretty good game.
Excellent.
Actually.
Well, so do we. You guys look great tonight. Enjoy the win with your team. We'll see you back here next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys, as always.
Thank you. All right, AJ Roque enjoying the win, telling us a little bit. That was a great question you asked, Joe, about the switch up at halftime.
I had a feeling it was an adjustment.
Yeah.
I had to know.
You can literally see it materializing in the second half, but a good complimentary football win. The offense was there. He mentioned the 4 rushing touchdowns. The defense and special teams, when they needed to be as well, stepped up. Joe, it leads to a good feeling going into next week's Eastern Championship.
Yeah, and I mentioned it before. We don't have live stats. If we were running the entire game day operation, we might. So we don't have quarterback pressures immediately tracked. But Tariq Pusey said it. The guys up front really set the stage for the defensive backs tonight. And I think if you're the Bearcats, as I was saying before AJ hopped on the headset, you have to be thrilled with the way you played as a unit defensively. Offensively, there were some good things they did in this game, and I think a lot of it came down to that halftime adjustment. They put up points late in the first half, points that they needed to just get something up in the scoring column, and they carried that momentum into the second half. I think for the defense, the one hiccup was the first drive of the third quarter. Beyond that, they were in control of this game, put plenty of pressure on EO. Every throw he made tonight was under pressure. The defensive backs were up to the task. Very rarely did a defender get behind. We saw that once or twice in the game, and both of those passes, 2 of the first 3 anyway, were broken up. The third one went for a touchdown, but that was late when the game was well in hand. So if you're Jersey, I think you have to feel pretty good. I don't think they're all the way there yet. Still things that I'm sure this coaching staff wants to improve. But overall, I think it was a good effort for them. They're looking for great. We'll see if they can deliver next week.
It's going to take 4 wins to win an AAL2 championship for anybody in the Eastern Division. And step number 1 has been taken by the Bearcats. So that will do it for us, Jersey, with a 30-13 win over Maryland. We want to thank the entire team here at Warananko, our camera operator, Patrick Gialorenzo, our engineer tonight, Nick Bavona. For Joe Foreman, my name is David Pizzuto. Thank you for joining us here. Don't forget, full HD version of this game coming up a little bit later tonight here. And we remind you to come back next week, next Friday, 8 p.m. It'll be the Bearcats in the Eastern Division Championship with a spot in the semifinals on the line. This has been coverage of the AAL2 playoffs and the Jersey Bearcats on your home of AAL2 and Jersey Bearcats football, the PDF Sports Network.